positive choices. The most important thing I want to highlight is, it's not going to be a sectarian place of worship here. It's going to be a non-sectarian. We're going to focus more on values. We're going to focus more on moral character and making Frisco at a large not have these, community relationships, grow the community relationships. So we are already serving. It's going to be a non-sectarian. We're going to providing more on values. We're going to be helping the multiple service and assisted living facilities. So we'll continue to do that, and having this center will help us to serve more and commit growing Frisco with a better place with a lot of moral values. Thank you.
Okay, Suba Bayela, and then next, pardon? Yes. A Frisco, and then Sharnavasula Baralapala, again, green writing, will be next. Suba? Do we still have this person?
On moral character and making Frisco at a large not have these...
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. So I am on behalf of Geeta Mandir, the one which is on FM 423 and Lone Star Ranch Park, which is coming up. So I just want to first tell, this is not a sectarian. This is a complete non-sectarian temple. Okay, we don't really do, it's not like anything related to religion. It is not anything to ethnicity or anything like that. See, this is completely non-sectarian, and also today we see a lot of problems everywhere, like say the mental stress, depression, anxiety, sleeping disorders, you name it, everything is there. So we are here to help people, to give nice education, and also to make them come out of these problems. That is the motto of this temple. It's nothing doing with any type of sectarian things. And also just wanted to give the programs which we do every week. We actually give thousands of plates of free prasadam to a lot of people in the Frisco city, and also we do a lot of yoga, meditation classes, and also to improve mental well-being and learn practical ways to control anger and anxiety. And we organize stress management, anger management workshops for students, working professionals, corporate groups, including programs conducted at universities such as UTD and UTA. We teach mantra meditation and relationship building principles that help people develop compassion, respect, positive habits, and loving relationships with families and society. We promote the philosophy of simple living and high thinking, encouraging a balanced lifestyle controlled on health, peace, responsibility, and personal growth. We offer vegetarian cooking classes that teach healthy, affordable, and nutritious food preparation for individuals and families. We also conduct leadership and character development classes for youth, students, and community members to help build discipline, responsibility, teamwork, and positive values. We teach simple living and high thinking. Our goal is to help people become free from stress, addiction, anxiety, negative habits, and to help to lead peaceful and productive and meaningful lives. So we are law-abiding citizens, and we have followed all the rules and requirements as per the Frisco ordinance. Throughout this process, we worked diligently with the city of staff and went through nearly 40 iterations of our temple site plan to ensure it fully complies with all ample parking to accommodate the visitors appropriately, and all of our buildings are within the permitted height and requirements. In addition, we are creating a beautiful park which is open to and accessible to everybody. I just want to add one last thing. We are open to work with the community too. Thank you.
And sir, here in the front row, this is your last warning. If you're a disruption again, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You understand?
Can I make a noise?
Disruption again, we're going to have to leave. Thank you.
Did we ever have Suba Boyella? Okay. All right. Next we have Rajal Kanth. And then after that, we'll have Siri Chamraz. Come on.
Good evening. I'm here to support Geeta Mandir. My name is Rajnikant Setitej. I live in 233 St. Flicker Street, Frisco, Texas. So actually this place is to create a space where people feel safe, supported, emotionally imbalanced, and physical health. So we also encourage social connections and so basically, like as we see that there's a lot of mental illness and like so much stress as we see and anxiety and support. So basically, we are trying to give techniques where they can elevate this, and also we want to support our elders because they want to feel supported. And we want to go and help them, and we actually feed, give them food, free food, and also talk to them and feel nice. And we want to support these activities from a place. Like they can come to our place, or we can also help various places in the community. And also, we want to help our youth. If they need any help, we're gonna support them in various ways. And also, healthy living. We want to support the nutrition aspects, from the nature, what we can learn, and how to encourage like a natural living. So we can help in that as simple living, high thinking, and also we love peace and we want to spread peace. So and we want to have nice gatherings where everyone can come and enjoy and have a festivity mood. So this is all we want to do, and we want to help support the city, and also want to help other places like to clean the parks and help the society. So in that way, actually, this is what we want to promote and help our city, Frisco. I really love being here and want to spread the peace. Thank you.
Siri Chamaraj. And then after that, we will have Jessica Wang Cucci.
Good afternoon. My name is Siri Chamraj. I'm a Frisco-born resident and an FI student and a proud member of the Jain community. Now, I'd like to tell you a little story. The story of a little girl who wanted nothing more than to explore and have fun. A little Frisco-born girl who took her first steps in Frisco while her parents watched with beaming pride. A little Frisco girl who made her first friend, had her first birthday party, and celebrated countless holidays, all in the city of Frisco. A little Frisco girl who'd sneakily wake up at 5 a.m. on Christmas to see if Santa had left any presents this year, then urge her parents a few hours later to have the three of them gather around a colorful green tree so she could see what was beneath the red and gold wrapping paper. To her, this was her home, her intimate little family, her friends and school, and the Frisco community she was proud to be a part of. However, sooner or later, this little girl was bound to grow up. She would begin throwing herself into her schoolwork, staying up late to finish assignments, and discover that her parents had been Santa all along. Yet she refused to stop giving school her all. She refused to be short of anything but a perceived perfection, and she 110% refused to stop believing in Santa. I am this girl, and I refuse to believe that our Frisco is anything short of being an inclusive and diverse community. While being a part of the Frisco community, I'm also a proud Jain. A fundamental value associated with Jainism is nonviolence, or ahimsa. It's our goal to practice ahimsa to its fullest, minimizing any harm that others may experience because of us. Be it walking on the sidewalk instead of the grass so that you don't accidentally crush a bug, not eating anything when going outside because there are no vegetarian options available, or praying to ask for forgiveness regarding any unknown or accidental harm one may have caused. I feel privileged to have such a supportive Jain community here in Frisco, and I'm privileged to have such a supportive Jain community in the city I call home. I was born here in the Frisco Baylor Hospital. I grew up here in the city of Frisco, and I've practiced my religion in this beautiful city. I'm so excited to hear that a few miles from the place I was born, the legal construction of a Jain temple is in action. In school, I learned that the first constitutional amendment guarantees the free, peaceful exercise of religion. Thus, I'm grateful for the peaceful construction of a Jain temple, a place where fellow Jains and I would be able to freely exercise our non-violent religion. My community and I are excited to be able to freely exercise and practice our religion in a place we perceive as our home. Frisco is my home as much as it is yours, so I implore you to enjoy this excitement as well. Having celebrated Deepavali and Mahavir Jayanti, 2 Jain holidays, as well as Christmas, I understand the cultural significance these have within the Frisco community. Being familiar with the diverse religious practices that Frisco holds serves to benefit the intellectual diversity of its students and overall community. The teachings and guidance I've learned from attending Sunday school in my temple are things I'll carry with me throughout my life. I've red, white, and blue in my veins, and I've an Om in my heart. I thank you for valuing the wants of the Jain community. Thank you for this opportunity. God bless Frisco and God bless America. Thank you.
All right, we have Jessica Wang Cucci, and after that, we will have Andrew Cucci.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Jessica Wang Cucci, and I live in the preserve at Lone Star Ranch, directly next to the proposed development at FM 423 and Lone Star Ranch Parkway. First, I want to say that residents understand development is part of the Frisco growth. This is not about opposing development altogether. What we are asking for is reasonable planning and protect the safety and quality of life of family who already live there for the last 10 to 20 years. Our biggest concern is the proposed connection point into Amberley Place. Amberley Place is not a collector road or commercial street. It is a quiet residential cul-de-sac where children play outside, ride bikes, walk dogs, and family gather for our neighborhood fall festival. Even the developer indicated during the planning and zoning meeting that they do not favor unrestricted connection at this location. If both residents and the developer have concerns, then we respectfully ask city to reconsider why this connection is necessary at all. We are asking the council to close the connection point to the retail area, limiting it to emergency access only through a gated entrance. Emergency access can still be preserved without turning our neighborhood street into a cut-through road. Another major concern is parking and safety. At the planning and zoning meeting, there were already discussions and not acknowledging that parking may not be sufficient during large events and that shuttle options from other locations may need to be considered. That alone tells us that the site may already pushing its limits. Residents are worried that overflow parking will spill into nearby neighborhood. Residential streets should not become parking lots for commercial and event traffic. Once that happens, it directly impacts safety of children, pedestrians, and homeowners. We are also asking the council to reduce the intensity of commercial portion of the project, especially not allowing to build a gas station and convenience store. This type of business typically generates late night activity, noises, delivery truck, and constant vehicle turnovers. They are also more prone to attracting criminal activities. We do not believe those use of appropriate directly next to single family homes are appropriate. Instead of making the number building, we ask the city to prioritize more parking spaces, better traffic circulation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Andrew Cucci, and then after that, we have Brandon Burden.
Hello, Council, Mayor. My name is Andrew Cucci. I live at 720 Telemark Trail in the Preserve in Lone Star Ranch community. I'm an HOA board member, but I speak tonight as a resident of the community. I was going to speak specifically about the parking issues and traffic, but I'm also going to speak to something that one of the, I believe, developers spoke to. He spoke about things along the lines of living arrangements and stuff, and I'm sorry, I was going over some of my notes, so I may not have caught everything he was saying, but I do believe that this project needs a special use zoning for this particular temple and what they want there. Now, I may be wrong. I don't know. I don't have all the ordinances in front of me, but I do believe it needs a special use zoning, which would be an issue for you, for the council to take up. As I talk about, let me talk about the development of the parking issue. The parking issue was something that came up, and I spoke with the traffic expert about that, and he admitted that when there are special events going on at the temple, that there is not enough parking for it, which would also affect anybody having a business there. I know some medical centers, if there are medical centers there, those would not be open on the weekends, but certainly some stores that I believe they want to have there would be open on the weekends. Now, I was assured that this was all taken care of, that people would park at Reedy High School, which is about 2.5 miles away. I know because my daughter was supposed to go there and didn't, but it's 2.5 miles away, and then people will be shuttled over. That obviates one factor, which is human nature. Human nature is most people will park where it's convenient, which means in the neighborhood. We also had a discussion about ambulances or fire engines getting down the streets when there are cars parked on both sides of the street. He assured me that the streets are wide enough. Yes, they are. However, also, if you've ever tried to drive an SUV down any of these streets, when cars are parked on both sides, you know that that is very difficult to do. And it would make, in a situation where seconds count, any type of emergency, you know that that could be a very bad situation. Because that is a big gauntlet to take. The last thing I wanted to bring up was the Amberley Place, which my wife had brought up earlier. That area, we would like that closed off because that you already have, according to the plan, 4 separate ingresses and egresses to the situation there, to the property. To add to the property there, the back entrance through the residential area would just cause too much problems with traffic, problems with parking again. So I thank you for your time.
All right, we have Brandon Burden, and then next we'll have Jags Malahatra.
Before you start my time, I just had a question. I'm not speaking towards the temple project, but the mosque. Are we on the same line item for that? Is that okay to start that conversation now for that? Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Brandon Burden. I've been a pastor in Frisco for 25 years, and as a Christian, my Bible commands me to love all people, every nation, every tribe, every tongue. So I want to start off by saying tonight that I love all people, and I love the Muslim people, and God loves the Muslim people, but I am concerned a little bit about their ideology. If Muslims move to America, that is the American dream, and I commend it. But they need to assimilate into the culture and not take it over. The ideology of Islam goes against everything that we hold dear as Americans because Islam is a way of life. It is more than a religion. The definition of a religion is a system of beliefs, symbols, and practices focused on the sacred or the supernatural. I'm fine with that. But a political group is an organization of individuals that unite based on shared ideologies or policy goals to acquire and exercise power within a government. Islam is more than a religion. It is both a religion and a state. It is a socio-political system that uses a deity to advance its agenda. And my main concern is that Islam is not compatible with our Constitution because Islamic theology divides the world into 2 spheres that are locked into perpetual conflict. And my problem with the ideology is that jihad is imposed on the unwilling. It's not through trying to lead them to the religion, it's imposing the belief upon the person. And my concern is that is fundamentally opposed to the First Amendment, which protects the freedom of religion. And under Islam, this practice is not permissible. And I asked the City Council tonight to look at how many mosques have already been built in the Metroplex. According to Salah-Tamatic, a comprehensive guide to mosque and Islamic schools, their website directory shows that in Dallas-Fort Worth alone, there's already 74 mosques. In Houston, there's 95, Austin, 14, and in Texas overall, 235 mosques. Now, if all the imams taught in those mosques were the Quran, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But they're not just teaching the Quran. They're teaching the hadiths, the sayings of Muhammad, and Muhammad's biography, which is 40% religious, but 60% political. It is a socio-political takeover of a form of culture. And if we approve mosque number 236 in Texas and expand this ideology, then we're going to reach a point where we're not going to be able to protect our way of life or our constitutional rights any longer. I'm done, but please appeal the decision to the PNC. Thank you.
Just before you move on, I just need to remind everyone to follow our decorum rules. And if you do not follow them, you will be asked to leave.
Next, we have Jags Malahatra. After that, we will have Sally Singleton.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Jags Malhotra and I'm a resident of Frisco. I am here today to express my strong support for Jain Society of Texas and its proposed Frisco Community Center project. Frisco is one of the fastest growing and most diverse cities in the nation. Our strength as a community comes from embracing different culture, tradition, and faith while working together to build a strong, more inclusive and family-oriented city for everyone. The Jain Society has been part of the North Texas community for more than 40 years. Members of the Jain community include physician, engineer, educator, healthcare professional, entrepreneurs, business owners, and community volunteers who are deeply vested in the success and future of Frisco and North Texas. This proposed center represents much more than a place of worship. It will serve as a long-term community gathering place where family can connect, children can learn, senior can engage, and residents can come together for educational, culture, volunteer, and family-focused events. In a rapidly growing city like Frisco, spaces that strengthen family and community connection are more important than ever. The value of the Jain faith, compassion, non-violence, education, personal responsibility, and service to the community closely align with the values that help make Frisco one of the strongest and most welcoming city in the nation. The Jain community is committed not only to preserving a tradition, but also contributing positively to the broader community through civic engagement, volunteerism, mentorship, and service. The center also represents a thoughtful investment in future generation. It will help preserve cultural heritage, support youth leadership, encourage community engagement, and create a lasting place where future generation can remain connected to family, culture, faith, and community responsibility. Projects like this strengthen the social and cultural fabric of Frisco and reinforce our city reputation as welcoming and globally connected community. I respectfully respect the City Council to support the Jain Society of Texas Frisco Community Center project, and I appreciate, thank you for your time, service, and your continued commitment to the residents of Frisco. Thank you.
All right, next we have Sally Singleton. And then after that, Timur Vanna Dark. I cannot read your writing, I apologize.
Hello, Council. My name is Sally Singleton. I live at 2900 Oyster Bay in Frisco Lakes. I moved here from the beautiful city of, I'm so nervous, excuse me, of Lakewood, finding a home to retire. I moved to Frisco. I fell in love with it. I love the grass and the cows, and now we have all of our wonderful input of what's going on. The consensus of many that I have spoken with is they and we do not want a mass. There's already enough, we feel like, that people that want to go in that direction, they have a place to go. But when I moved to Frisco, I did not dream that it would become mosque everywhere. And this is what we're told is going to happen. We don't feel like that we have an input, that you all are listening, but you decide what you want, and that makes us very sad that we feel like that we don't have this. The Sharia law, as I understand, was already voted, was turned down with a big no of 95% of the people in Frisco. If you think about different cities that are so spectacular, were so spectacular, like London and Paris, that were magical cities, and they're now lost. I don't want to see Frisco lost. I want to be here the rest of my life, be proud of Frisco, and be proud of what we're accomplishing. And I hope that you all will consider in giving us a say-so. I would like to have, when different matters come up as large as this is, maybe have a vote and be able for the people that live here to be able to live where they want to live. And I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
All right, we have Timur, and then after that we have
Yes, my name is
Sandeep
Timur
Bey.
Kainazarov. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I really read this really quickly because the time is short. Thank you, Mayor, City Council member. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Timur Kainazarov. I'm a concerned Frisco citizen. I'm asking City Council to either deny, table, or place much stronger conditions on this proposed large assembly uses until the city can clearly show that surrounding neighborhoods are be protected. What I mean by this, I want to be very clear. My concern is not about anyone's private right to worship. Frisco is an American city, and one of the American principles we should protect is religious liberty under the law. But religious liberty does not mean that every proposed building belongs in every location. The same zoning, traffic, parking, noise, safety, and neighborhood impact standards should apply whether the applicant is a church, mosque, temple, private school, banquet hall, or even a center, event center. My concern is that large houses of worship can function like high-intensity assembly places. They bring peak traffic, large gatherings, overflow parking, special events, noises, deliveries, other activities, pressure on nearby residential streets. Frisco's own zoning standards recognize this by treating places of worship as a distinct land use and require proper street frontage and parking. Before approving any of these projects, the city should require a full and independent traffic impact analysis, especially for peak worship times, Friday gatherings, weekends, holidays, festivals, weddings, and special events. We already have examples in the area where residents have concerns about the traffic noise around religious facilities placed too close to the neighborhoods, like the one temple on, I believe it's on Independence Street, right in the middle of a residential area. If a facility is surrounded by suburban homes, then burden falls on ordinary families who bought into originally quiet residential area life. They really deal with cars cutting through their streets, blocked driveways, crowded intersections, possibly late night activities, outdoor sound, and loss of peace in every place where they live. If I lived directly besides one of these high traffic facilities, I would seriously consider moving. And I believe families would feel the same pressure. I'm asking the City Council to protect residents first. Do not approve these projects unless these are enforceable these conditions. No access through local residential streets. The safer arterial route is available. Adequate on-site parking with no overflow into neighborhoods. Strong landscape buffer. Activity traffic control requirements during large events. Frisco is growing, but growth must be orderly. We should not play large regional assembly centers in locations that were clearly designated for suburban residential life. These projects may belong on larger tracts like 380, near major roads or in areas planned for...
Thank you.
Okay, we have Sandeep Bad. And then next after that, we have Yamin Ahmed.
So thank you for the opportunity to speak. In the interest of time and respecting everybody's time, I'm going to, I know there's an option to select one person who can speak on behalf. So is it okay if we do that? And that way we can take all the supporters for the Jain Center not speak later on. So I would like to request Dr. Leah, who's a professor at UNT, to speak on behalf of us. Thank you.
Okay. What was that name?
Hi, Leah Kalmanson. Thank you. And let me start by saying thank you for the opportunity, and let me say that the views and opinions that I will express here are entirely my own. They don't represent or constitute the policy of my employer, so I'm here speaking in an individual capacity. I'm a teacher and a researcher in religious studies. I have over 15 years of experience in interfaith engagement, interfaith dialogue, and community programming in religion. I'm not a member of the Jain Society of North Texas, but I have worked very closely with this community over the past several years. And so I'm here just to tell you a little bit about Jainism. I've seen some reference to there being 2 Hindu temples under discussion today in Frisco, but it is one Hindu temple and one Jain temple. There are, you may know, 3 ancient religions from India that are still with us today. One is, of course, Hinduism, another is Buddhism, and then another is Jainism. In some senses, it may be the simplest religion that I can think of. Its central teaching is simply do no harm. Try to live your everyday life in a way that causes the least amount of suffering possible. That might mean being kind to other people and humble when acknowledging different viewpoints, and that itself is actually a central Jain practice. It might mean being vegetarian. It might really mean 100 different little ways that you take time to avoid causing suffering or harm to another person or even to another little creature. And honestly, I'm very soft-hearted about animals myself, and so this aspect of Jainism has always appealed to me. You might wonder what happens at a Jain temple. There are often images of important teachers from the past there, and Jains will spend time. They are depicted while meditating, and Jains will spend time in front of these images in order to be inspired by them. On Sundays, they will cook a vegetarian meal for the community, and they'll often have educational programming for children. So a temple is a place for peaceful contemplation, for learning, and for community togetherness. And so I'm just grateful for the opportunity to be here today to share some information about this fascinating religion. Thanks.
And just to make sure that I pulled the right card, it is Leah Commonson? Got it. Thank you. There's a lot up here. Okay, then next we get to Yamin Ahmed. And then following after that, we'll have Jose Duarte.
Hi, so I'm Yamin. I'm like a longtime resident of Frisco, been here for almost 7 years now. So many of you have heard of the shooting in San Diego. 3 Muslims killed that day. 3 lives extinguished by the fire of Islamophobia. That fire burned far from home, but make no mistake, it burns here in Frisco, and it is growing. Anti-Muslim rhetoric in this state has exploded in my time living here. Every day on the airwaves, I hear politicians and media figures competing not for who can best improve the lives of the people, but who can make Muslims suffer the most. I hear lies that we are terrorists, rapists, fraudsters, and that we do not belong here. I reject every single one of these lies. Because this is who we really are. At the Frisco Mosque, we held a massive fun fair at the 4th of July, ending with us watching the fireworks together. We attend pool parties in the neighborhoods we call home. We coach, play, and watch soccer in the fields down the street. We stand in long lines at barbecue joints, waiting on a nice cut of brisket. We show up because this community is ours and we are part of it. But the agitators spreading this fire have not stopped at Muslims. They have gone after immigrants, the people who pick up night shifts, who start the small businesses on Main Street. They have gone after the Hindus and Jains, who they call demon worshippers, while these very same people serve as doctors, engineers, and teachers. They go after minority group, slowly shrinking the circle of accessibility until even the peddlers of hate fuel its fires. I have studied history quite a bit, and I know many people that started these flames that were speak clearly about Frisco and what it refuses to become. This city has always been built on and is being built by people from everywhere, and its strength has come from this fact. Help us put this fire out before it takes out anyone else. Thank you.
Next, we have Jose Duarte, and after that, we'll have Casey Ward.
How are you guys? Good evening. Okay, so first, my name is Jose Duarte. I won't say where I live specifically. That's my First Amendment right. And I would like to start this with saying that I'm here because I reject, and we, the majority here, reject the construction of the mosque.
Mr. Duarte, can you please speak into the mic?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
We reject the construction of the mosque here in Frisco. In a democracy, the majority rules, and the majority here doesn't want that mosque to be built. It's simple as that. For that reason, today I ask you, the City Council, to reject that proposal. And to all of you here, you're politicians, but you're also humans. I can talk to you like humans. You also have family members, you have girls in your family. You have daughters, you have granddaughters. And they're probably, maybe they'll hear this, or maybe they'll find out somewhere else. So, in Islam, the religious book, the Quran, tells them that two women are the equivalent to only one man when testifying in court, meaning that a woman is less valuable than a man. Imagine the girls in your family hearing this and knowing you promoted something that sees them as less. Imagine them finding out you're here to approve the construction of something that is used to step on the rights of women all over the world. Women in Islamic countries have less rights than men. For example, 8-year-old girls are forced to marry 60-year-old men and they don't have a say. Then those men rape the girls and they cry, of course, because they want to go back with their families, but their families won't do anything because their religion approves that. When I ask Muslims to condemn groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, or the Taliban, terrorist groups that have killed thousands of American soldiers, we're having Memorial Day in a week, so remember that. They won't condemn them, because they won't betray their people or religion. But if they do condemn them, they use something that is called taqiyya, which allows them to lie, if that means they're going to protect their lives or protect Islam. So we ask you today, you have us right here, the majority of the American people who don't want this. It's simple as that. And we have the right to vote and to decide in the decisions that are going to affect our sisters or daughters or future granddaughters and all the girls here in the United States and women. We care for them. Muslims say Islam is the religion of peace. Meanwhile, apostasy, which means leaving the religion of Islam in this case, is punished with death. If you leave Islam, you get the death penalty. You guys know that? Now I'll finish with 3 things for everyone to hear. First of all, Jesus Christ is God and the only God. Amen. Second, the majority has the last word, and we the people reject this proposal. Amen. That's it.
Next, we have Casey Ward, and then after that, we'll have Heather Reed.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I'm an 11-year resident of the Preserve at Lone Star Ranch, directly adjacent to the proposed mixed-use development at FM 423 and Lone Star Ranch Parkway. I want to voice my concerns about the proposed access onto Amberley Place, our quiet residential cul-de-sac used for children's play and neighborhood events. This access is much different than other residential access connections seen throughout Frisco. This access would immediately funnel traffic in the direction of an alleyway and through a cul-de-sac, both not designed for continuous traffic flow. It would also introduce commercial traffic into our neighborhood, creating safety risks, congestion, overflow parking, and impacts to privacy and property values. The City Council has authority to deny or condition street connections for public safety and welfare. The Amberley Place connection is closest to the proposed temple, and that proximity would undoubtedly introduce commercial traffic into the neighborhood. There are other commercial developments in Frisco that do not have connections to adjacent neighborhoods, and you would not be setting a precedent by restricting or conditioning access to Amberley Place. For example, there are mixed-use developments at the Kroger on Legacy and Lebanon, the racetrack at Legacy and Warren Parkway, the Redeemed Christian Church at Rollader and Hillcrest, and St. Philip's Episcopal Church at Stonebrook and Dallas North Tollway that do not have neighborhood access. Unlike standard retail, religious use creates high volume traffic surges as congregants arrive and depart at the same time. Frisco residents see this every Sunday as police are needed to manage church traffic flows. Because 423 is often heavily congested, the most logical exit for those departing the temple will be LSR Parkway, which will quickly bottleneck. Drivers looking to avoid the congestion will cut through the Amberley Place junction. Amberley Place is the closest point of ingress-egress to the temple. Also, unlike standard retail, the temple will draw regional, national, and international visitors, exacerbating traffic flows. The proposed uses will also generate high parking demand, especially during temple events, risking spillover into our neighborhood. Planned development, zoning, and subdivision rules require compatibility with adjacent residential areas. Modifying the Amberley Place access meets that standard. We have heard about the extensive neighborhood parking occurring to adjacent at the Hanuman Temple in East Frisco. The proposed shuttle bus system from Reedy High School for this project will be insufficient to prevent neighborhood parking. Human behavior dictates that drivers will choose convenient neighborhood street parking over a remote shuttle bus system. Fortunately, the developer Gita Mandor told residents following the May 12th Planning and Zoning meeting that they did not request or want the Amberley Place access. It was required by the city. So restricting Amberley Place to the emergency vehicles only via secured gate creates no hardship for the developer and resolves our main concerns. I've heard from many neighbors, and so far, the city only wants this by virtue of ordinance. Thank you for your consideration. Restricting the Amberley Place connection to our emergency vehicles only is a simple impact modification. Thank you.
We have Heather Reed, and then after that, we have Carrie Student.
I'm Heather Reed. I'm at 4067 Amberley Place. I'm one of the two houses in the cul-de-sac where this is directly in front of. The property owner speaking on PSP 260009. The developer already plans 4 commercial entrances on this site, 2 on FM 423 and 2 on Lone Star Ranch Parkway. That is double the 2 connection minimum required by section 4.07.17 for non-residential sites of 10 acres or more. Interconnectivity is already satisfied 4 times over on 2 different thoroughfares. The proposed 5th connection, the one routing commercial traffic into our residential cul-de-sac, is the only one of the 5 that violates section 4.07.17's express requirement that connections avoid conflicts with the service areas of non-residential development. Routing fuel tankers, delivery trucks, and 24-hour gas station traffic into a residential cul-de-sac is the same conflict the code is written to prevent. I'm asking the city to eliminate the cul-de-sac connection entirely, to require a continuous type B7 screening buffer along the residential boundary per section 4.03.03. Furthermore, I don't know if there was a special use permit filed for the temple, considering this land is zoned retail. And now I'm even more confused, as it sounds from the developer talking earlier like it's more of a mental institution / halfway house offering housing and overnight stays. So I don't understand how that's retail and I don't necessarily want that in my front yard. Doesn't really feel very safe. But that is it. Thank you.
All right, Carly, student. And then after that, we'll have Dan Elmer.
Good evening. My name is Carly Sudat. My family and I reside at 4035 Amberley Place, which is the house in the cul-de-sac that sits directly adjacent to the open field at the corner of FM 423 and Lone Star Ranch Parkway. We have lived here for 10 years and have always known that land would eventually be built and changed, but when I, along with the rest of the Lone Star Ranch community, learned a little over a week ago that 9 buildings, including a gas station, drive-through restaurants, and a temple were potentially going to be built on that open land, I suddenly knew that life in our quiet little cul-de-sac would never be the same. With 9 buildings planned for this lot, I worry about the increased traffic that will suddenly surround our otherwise quiet neighborhood and formally request that the council deny the extension of Amberley Place into this new development. My husband and I intentionally chose a home in a cul-de-sac for the safety benefits that it offers. And when we purchased our home, it was our understanding it would remain in a cul-de-sac. We were never informed that the intention would be to extend Amberley Place into a retail development. And I see under section 8.04 of the subdivision ordinance that all stub streets shall have a sign prominently posted at the terminus of the street to indicate that the street will be extended in the future. In the 10 years that we have lived on Amberley Place, there has been no such sign. Well, I also see the zoning ordinance that requires interconnectivity between adjacent residential and non-residential developments. I also know that there are plenty of developments within the city of Frisco where residential neighborhoods do not provide connections to commercial areas. My kids learn to ride their bikes in this cul-de-sac, and they, along with many other kids from the neighborhood, often enjoy roller skating, driving remote control cars, flying kites, and playing cricket there. It is even used as a community gathering space, having many times been used as the neighborhood block party location. I want to ensure our cul-de-sac remains a safe place for the children and families of our neighborhood, but if the city allows access to this new development through our street, it will no longer be safe. The traffic and constant coming and going of cars will now pose an increased threat. There's the increased risk of getting hit by a car, and now there's also the increased risk of crime. The relationship between crime and convenience stores and gas stations has long been well established, as these types of establishments are among the top locations for violent crimes and theft. My husband has personally witnessed multiple thefts and a violent crime at the Circle K just a mile or 2 down the road. And allowing a cut through from this retail development to our neighborhood only makes it easier for vagrants and criminals to access our homes, especially the ones lining the outskirts of this development. Again, I am formally requesting that the council please deny neighborhood access through the Amberley Place cul-de-sac, or at least provide for restricted gate access for emergency vehicle use only. Thank you.
Next, we have Dan Elmer. After that, we will have Paul Jessen.
Good evening, Council. My name is Dan Elmer. I live in Lone Star Ranch here in Frisco. I want to thank you tonight. Congratulations, Brittany, Laura. I just want to say quickly, I believe that two of you were elected and reelected overwhelmingly because you bring steady, thoughtful, respectful leadership to our city. When I was in high school, I was a really big baseball fan. I still am really a big baseball fan. And I became a Little League umpire. And I learned how to umpire a baseball game, and I got to go up to the big fields in the Little League complex and umpire behind home plate for my first game. I had the loudest, most obnoxious, I think awesome strike 3 call. I took control of that game. I threw out one of the coaches. I made a lot of noise, and then I wasn't allowed to umpire a game again for a while. Here's what I think. If anybody's a Major League Baseball fan, not a lot of people can name a Major League Baseball umpire. You know names like Joe West. If you're a big baseball fan, you know Angel Hernandez. Why? They make bad calls, and they're really loud. They ruin the game. I ruined that Little League game. And so I want to call on you tonight as someone who has been a self-professed rabble-rouser in the past. I want to thank all of you. Every single person on this dais has spent time with me to educate me on issues, to meet with me and hear my concerns on issues, even though in the past I've sometimes been loud. Here's what I want to challenge you to do. Don't be Angel Hernandez. There's a lot of thoughts about a lot of different things. I just want to look up here. Your job tonight is to call balls and strikes. Your job tonight is to lead, and your job is to enforce the law. And so I just want to encourage all of you. Everyone's voice deserves to be heard, but your job is to lead respectfully, appropriately, and follow the rules. I want to close by saying this. It's a scripture I heard recently that I think is most apt for this moment. It's from James 3, verse 18. Peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness. And that word righteousness in that context means justice. It means when we do what we do in peace, the right things happen. I want to encourage you to be peaceful. I want to encourage you not to be political with leading the city. I want to encourage you to make sure that we're making decisions and we're representing issues tonight as our officials, elected officials, make the right decisions, do the right things based on the letter of the law, and your responsibility as city council members, do not cave to political pressure. And I'm not going to take a position on any of the developments tonight, but thank you. I appreciate everything you do.
All right, next we have Paul Jessen. And after that, we have Shiru Manavaskar.
I was just trying to smile for your camera. On one hand, good evening, everybody, Mr. Mayor, council, veterans and rookies. We thank you that we have you. Somebody's got to make decisions. And probably one of the most common comment about those in leadership is they will always get people who disagree with them. I kind of wonder why I'm here tonight. There has been so much common sense spoken by so many people, just simple residents with simple understanding of how a residential place should be in neighborhoods, and they can't understand why they're being ignored. I've bought houses in 5 different states, and I always had 2 questions. One, where's the 100-year floodplain? I wanted to buy above it. And the second one is, where I'm buying, are the zoning laws consistent and understandable? I've been coming to these council meetings for over a year. Almost every meeting, there is a request for a zoning law change, different special use permits. And the residents are going, whoa, wait a minute. This is the question I used to ask. Is that possible where I'm living? Or are we going to see all these changes, and after 10 years, as one person said and others, what's going on? What happened? I have some thoughts, I won't say them. But I think we have a great example here at the council meeting a couple of meetings ago from the 121 and the, what's the name of the place? 121 in the warehouse. And what we had is a clear understanding. What we have here is a failure to communicate. Residents are saying, whoa, we didn't know this, we need to have this done. Can we please not make decisions? Can we have some deep, a later vote on these things? Can we wait till a lot of these questions are asked? Tremendous questions being asked, and I'm going like, what? this is not common sense, so maybe that needs to be explained why. And one of the main principles of communication is, if anyone can possibly misunderstand, they will. We have a lot of that going on. And I think one of my favorite verses on this, Isaiah 128, God says, "Come, let us reason together." And from what I'm hearing on a lot of the testimonies, there's not much reasoning, and we would like to have more and have some specific common sense things be prominent.
Thank you.
Be a good neighbor to your neighborhoods.
All right, we have Chiru Banavaskar. That potentially one of the Jain people that nobody wrote down what there are. The next person is going to be Saritha Barathi. I'm going to keep going if I don't see anybody moving. Anila Chardia? That's what I'm saying. Is like, but none of them mark Jane on their thing, so I can't tell what they're here to talk about. Okay. She's Anila. Yeah, I've met her.
Thank you guys so very much. Sorry, I was actually not planning on speaking today. So, but I was very overwhelmed. Overall, I actually want to, well, I'm just going to speak as long as I can and pray to God that He guides me to say whatever is best. We've grown up in Texas. I am Muslim. My name's Anila Charanya. We've grown up in Texas almost 50 years now, almost 40 years in Houston, and almost 10 years in Austin. My husband and I just moved to Frisco about 3 months ago because we'd been hearing Frisco was such a wonderful place to be. And we had no clue about all of this that I'm seeing here. I do follow politics nationally, so I had known about some of the false propaganda that was being told about Sharia at the congressional level. And I don't want to get into that conversation because I'm here. I'm a Muslim woman. Somebody was saying women are oppressed. I'm here. I've had my own corporate consulting practice for 25 years, by God's grace. I know there have been Muslim leaders of state, prime ministers and presidents of Muslim countries. And unfortunately, we haven't had that yet in the US. So, and that's what I mean as an example of a lie, but that's not the reason I'm here. On my way here, I want to say that in Houston, I've had a wonderful, Houston, Austin, everywhere I've lived, I'd had a wonderful experience with my beautiful Christian friends. Fred and Diane, I've known them for over 20 years. They go to church regularly, weekly, Sundays, Tuesdays. Fred still tells me, Diane still says you are her sister from another mother. And we've been friends of 20 years. I'm godmother to 2 Indian Hindu children. So to me, what I'm hearing here is just so foreign. And I remember growing up, we went through 9/11. And after 9/11, I used to travel for work because I was already working then. And I was traveling back and forth, and I started getting checked after 9/11, patted down because of my headscarf. And actually, I understood. I said, these people have been told lies. They're being told whatever they're told. And so they're just afraid. And that's okay. If this is what they need to do to get safety, I understand. Then, like the 6th time I traveled, sorry, I know I'm running out of time.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
Oh,
you.
okay.
Very sweet.
Can I just say thank you to all of those people who have been so kind to me. There have been people here who have been really kind, so I just want to thank everyone.
and we have Michael Wu.
Hello. I wasn't actually planning on speaking tonight, so apologies if I'm a little bit candid, but I thank you very much for letting me speak. I had a couple of questions, and I am against the plan here. Is this a place of worship? Is it a temple? Or is it a retail center? Okay, because if it's a retail center, and you have restaurants, people like all of us can go there, get some food, no big deal. If it's a temple, okay, it's specific to the practicing religion there. Other folks who don't practice that religion probably aren't going to go there, okay? Now, if you're combining the both of them, are you creating a segregated zone? Because that doesn't make sense to me, okay? Another thing that I wanted to bring up, if they're going to build a gas station there, we have to remember gas stations really mess up the land in that area. So I don't think that's a really good idea to, allow them to build a gas station in that area. I understand the desire for, Jain people to build their temples, right? Because they want to expand their culture and, be able to practice their culture. My question to them is, what about our culture as Texans, right? What about our culture as Friscoans, okay? Have they assimilated with us? Have they gone to more, a lot of football games, any Renaissance fairs? Have you thanked a local veteran for giving you the peace and freedom that you're living in now, right? Do you even wave to your neighbor when you're coming and going from your house, when you're driving by? Like when you drive, don't you just wave to somebody, right? You always wave to your neighbors. So basically what I'm saying is asking us as Texans to accept another temple, it's especially when a group has not assimilated to us, is it's a bridge too far for us to accept. This is why we're having such a strong reaction here. And to the city council members, what I'm asking from you is to, we want to remain, Frisco wants to remain welcoming to everyone, but we don't want to create segregated zones, okay? We want to be an area where everybody can go freely. So, just want to, just to have everyone, specifically we wanted to give it to people who assimilate to us, both as Texans and as Friscoans. Thank you.
Okay, so that is the end of our Frisco residents speaking. We are now getting into our visitors. You signed up for citizens input, the open, not the agenda item 25. And you are? So I have 13 cards of people who marked that they are not wanting to speak. I'm looking for the people who you just said.
Here, we can take those. We can give them to the city secretary. If you wanted to speak on this item, just come up and mark it, and we'll kind of move on in the interim, and then we'll have you come next. Melinda, you can go ahead and come up since we've got yours. And the rest, if you want to speak on this item and you marked citizen input, we'll just have you update your card.
Yeah, because these are blank. So these were open citizens input.
And we're just talking about Frisco residents. If you're a non-Frisco resident, you're still in the stack to be called.
Okay. My name is Melinda Preston. I have been a resident of Frisco for 23 years. And I want to thank the mayor and city council for tonight for allowing us to speak. Many elected officials and our Frisco citizens have expressed concerns about national security and foreign influence because of the Islamic movement. Because of those concerns, I believe Frisco should take the time to carefully review funding sources, leadership, and teachings connected to any new Islamic mosques and previous mosques. Remember, the proposition to ban Sharia law in Texas passed by 95%. We must ensure that no place of worship or community organization is promoting violence, extremism, hatred, or efforts to undermine the Constitution and laws of the United States. Sharia law is illegal in Texas, and we need to make sure it is not being taught in local Frisco mosques. Transparency and accountability matter, and due diligence should always be part of the process. At the same time, we must protect religious freedoms and the rights of peaceful citizens of all faith. Our priority should always be the safety, unity, and protection of our communities while upholding values and freedoms that make America strong. But we must protect our citizens. Guys, I can name, I'm in politics. That's no surprise. I can name person after person after person that's elected who's called me on this issue. The concern for Frisco is off the chart. People are blown away. Yes. That my town, Melinda, this is your town. I know this is my town. My town is building another mosque without looking into who is the imam that's behind it. What does he believe? What has his job been? Where has he been? What has he studied? I can give you a few things because I've done a little bit of research. I would like to sit with you guys and talk to you about this. We've got to protect our people, our children, the next generation. Now, I'm over Denton County. I'm not over Conn. I'm over Denton. Denton County is mine. It's my county. It's what I want to protect. I want to make sure that our citizens are safe. I want to make sure that everyone has a life that is a home, a place to feel safe, to want to go home to want to come to Frisco, to be able to go out, be able to eat and do things. Guys, let's don't destroy our city. Let's be careful. Let's take care of Denton County for me, for our people, but Collin County as well, for the citizens of Collin County as well. Guys, it's our duty. Duty is ours, results are God's. Yes, that is a quote by John Quincy Adams, but we have to fight for what we have.
Okay. Of the people that raised their hands, if I missed anybody, let me know, but I pulled you guys from the open citizens input. Ryan Williams, I see you're standing, so why don't you go ahead and come this way. The next, Lieutenant Colonel Larry Brock, retired.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I really appreciate the opportunity to have us this evening. I sit in your spot a lot, and I understand this is not a fun night, especially with this many people speaking. It would be a whole lot better if it was just a couple, but unfortunately that's not how it always works for us. 3 minutes is more than enough time. This is awesome, by the way. We need to invest in that at the county. My name is Ryan Williams. I am the Denton County Commissioner of Precinct 1, and that's who I'm here representing tonight. I am not representing the court as a whole. I'm not here for the judge or any other precincts, but for the citizens of Precinct 1. I've been hearing a lot about this. Unfortunately, I've been in law enforcement for 25 years as well, so I've attended 3 classes, the 3-day classes that are for law enforcement to understand better of what has been happening in our country and other countries as well. And I've been very well educated on this, which I can appreciate some of you may not be as educated on some of these items, just like I've heard tonight. I will sit here and tell you, Pastor Burden said it best. He covered it extremely well, so there's no reason for me to rehash the same things that he said here this evening. I have some major concerns when they talk about education. I would really, especially the young, I would like to suggest that maybe you go visit one of these mosques and go ahead and see if they will give you some of the things that they do as far as their teachings and their books and the Quran. Have you read the Quran? You don't have to read the whole thing, but read just enough of it. Have you read Sharia law? Do you understand it? I would highly advise you do that, and that will just allow you to make good decisions. I see what your scenario is up here, and you've tried to educate the citizens that may not understand what you legally have the right to and not to do. But I will tell you, you have a little more power than you are letting on here this evening. I don't mean to be disrespectful to anybody, but you can do a little more. Fortunately, you guys have a little more authority than we do in the county. And I would ask you and the citizens here to ask our legislation to give us more of that authority back. It's been scaled back from us year after year. We need that authority back, the city and ourselves as the county. So I would really appreciate it this year if you would get on your representatives and push that hard, and that includes the citizens here as well, what side you're on this evening. And I do want to be very respectful to everybody that's here tonight. It's not easy to get up in front of the mic and have a conversation, especially if you've never done it before. And I really do respect these individuals, what side you're on here this evening. And I also want to say thank you to our law enforcement that are here tonight. Thank you very much, folks.
Okay, we've got Lieutenant Colonel Larry Brock, and then after that we have Srikanth Reddy.
All right, good evening. My name is retired Lieutenant Colonel Larry Brock, and I've served this nation for 29 years, 13 as an A-10 Warthog pilot, 4 as a reconnaissance pilot, and I lived under Sharia in Saudi Arabia for 7 years, where I provided information to the U.S. government. In short, I have fought Islam and the jihad my entire adult life. I've studied military history extensively. Many of you may not know this, but the SS also had a worldview. They believed that God gave the Germans the world to rule, and they also gave them a leader. Islam believes the exact same thing. The world is theirs to rule, and they were given the Prophet Muhammad. During World War II, we would not have allowed the SS to build a recruiting center and supply and weapons depot, nor should we allow Islam to build the same here in the United States. How do I know they will do it? I've seen it too many times in my time in Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, I fully understand that many of you believe that this building of a mosque is protected by the First Amendment. I believe if you approve this mosque, you're putting yourself, the council, and the city at risk of violating 18 U.S.C. 2339A and 2339B by aiding and abetting a terrorist organization and providing them material support. Just this past weekend, we learned that Mark Hill, a mayoral candidate, is backed by Faisal Syed, who is a leader of the terrorist organization CARE. Are you absolutely certain that no financial money came to purchase this land or involved in the construction of this mosque came from CARE or the Muslim Brotherhood, which our governor has designated as terrorist organizations? Even if you were certain, I would ask all of you to consider whether you want your wives and daughters to be forced to wear burqas. If you want your daughters subject to Muslim grooming and rape gangs, this is the fruit of Islam. This is the result of putting mosques in Christian cities. Are you willing to stand up to this political hostile ideology and say to them, there is a price we will not pay, there is a point beyond which you must not go? Great forces are on the move here. And with this decision, you will decide whether or not Frisco will be remembered as the city that stood up and turned the tide on the Muslim invasion, or will you choose the path of appeasement and pass to other Americans the honor of firing the first volley against this religion? Now, I truly want, and I believe you do as well, to see this issue solved with ballots and not bullets. You must vote down this mosque. This is a vote that will define your time on this city council. All right, I am hopeful that you will use this opportunity to strike a blow for our faith, for our nation against this enemy ideology that wishes to see our republic destroyed, our churches burned, our mothers, wives, and daughters enslaved, and to see the light of freedom extinguished by Mohammedan darkness. God bless you.
Next, we have Srikanth Reddy, and after that, we will have Sai Krishna.
So, before I start, I want to congratulate Laura as well, Brittany Colbert. That's a great journey for you. Next. Congratulations, Brittany and Laura. So before I give my views on the temples, I would like to clarify my past association with Global Hindu. So my connection with Global Hindu Heritage was very brief and occurred prior to 2015. I moved to Frisco in 2013 September. Was never registered member of that organization. There are any questions regarding communications about demolitions or related matters, I encourage individuals, particularly those active on social media, Kayla Campbell and Nick Wright, to direct those inquiries to the leadership of that organization. For your information, their email communications happened after 2022, which were not known to me at all. Don't make me responsible for their president's communication. I'm very sorry to put this information here. Also, my name was used on their flyers without any intimation or knowledge of mine. I used to visit Hanuman Temple at that time. The head of the Global Hindu Heritage Foundation and the temple leadership was the same individual. He handled both. I respect him a lot. I have limited interaction with him. Beyond that, I have no association with that organization. So regarding the temples, it's important to emphasize that Indians, both in India and abroad, do not harbor hatred towards Christians. And I myself got educated from a Catholic school. I grew up doing the prayers, Our Father in heaven, holy be your name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. So until my high school, I did that. I'm a strong spiritual Hindu. Practicing Hindu I am. So India is a home to a significant Christian population and has seen establishment of millions of churches in India. So half of Texas population is Christian in India. Half of Texas population, US population is Christian in India. So we have so big Christian population in India. So in Frisco, Indians make up 20% of the population and currently have only one temple, which may not adequately serve the community needs for worship. More conservativeness needed to take residents closer to God. So on the topic of H1B, this one is not needed. So Indians or Hindus in general do not seek special treatment or preferential space in society. Instead, they strive for integration, contribute, align.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all.
Okay, Sai Krishna.
Good evening, everyone. And I want to congratulate Brittany and Laura for re-electing. Tonight, my name is Sai Krishna. I live in Lexington country on the Quiet. Today's topic is very interesting. And I want to say that I am a proud American with Indian roots, and I'm a Hindu. I'm not a Muslim. So, hold on 1 second. Let me complete. When I took oath as an American, I respect my constitution and I respect law of the land. In America, it's only American law and no room for any other laws or any other country law. Agree? Be an American and live like an American. You practice your religion in your home and you practice within your boundaries. We Hindus are very innocent and we are soft-spoken and non-violent. I just want to clear this. Okay? Thank you very much tonight.
All right, I think we have now gotten through our Frisco residents on this. We're going to now go to the visitors. Did we miss anybody else? Okay. All right, so now we have Parang Perketh from Plano. And after that, we'll have Nathaniel Varel from Aubrey. Either?
If you want to
Yes.
speak, they don't want to speak.
I don't see Parang coming, so yes, Nathaniel Varel from Aubrey. And then after that, we'll have Karen Rotel in Allen.
Let me know when I can start.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Nathan Varvel, V-A-R-V-E-L-L. The pastor at the beginning did soften my heart a bit, but Islam is not welcome here. Islam is not a religion that welcomes peace and love in anyone who is looking for meditation. It is an indoctrination to beat down those who they do not agree with. They do not include white people. They do not include black people. It does not include anyone but their own men, not their women. They hate their women. They claim their mosque isn't even a place of worship, but that's where they're going to plant more businesses. That's not what the permission was for. And would they be hiring their own people, not Americans? Every American has a right to work, but you're excluding it only to the Muslims, which might make sense if it was a place of religion and church, but it's not, which is what they're telling you. They're going to be building up more and more businesses. Islam is a religion of exclusion, lies, hate, murder, rape, torture, selfishness, and Satan. Even if you don't believe in God, these people are clearly evil and do not share one common idea with the American. Sharia law isn't the problem, it's Islam. It's fundamentally evil. They're pedophiles, they're warmongers. They hate you, they want you dead and your family dead, and they think this country belongs to them. They marry their family members, have very profoundly autistic children. They move them into homes sometimes occupying 12 people to a house at a time. They steal American jobs. They steal homes. They're stealing our land. And if you give them 1 inch, they will steal another 1,000 miles. They operate illegally and under the table, paying city councils all over the country to approve illegals moving in and setting up more crappy restaurants and other businesses that act as fronts for much larger illegal fraudulent businesses. Muslims do not belong here because Islam does not belong here. Anchor babies do not make them legitimate, and they need to be deported. Frisco is not their home. You sold my country out from underneath its own people. I implore you to reconsider and reject this mosque. It can only bring trouble. You will be betraying the American people, and of course, these good people who voice their concerns. I'm sorry you wasted your money, but please, it's only money. Your people are worth more, and I bet money the vast majority of the people on this side of the room don't even have a driver's license. That's it. I'm done. Drop the mic.
Okay. Then next we have Karen. Karen? Okay, great. And then after that, we will have Edward Lang from Narrowsburg.
I'm going to try to talk really fast. So before we even get started with my comments, I wanted to say that the history of India is rife with a huge Holocaust. More than hundreds of millions of Indians were killed when the Muslims came over the mountains. They call it the Hindu Kush because of the millions of Indians slaughtered, mountains of skulls, people kidnapped into slavery. It was a terrible history that few people know. Anyway, on to my speech. This is a cautionary tale of a mosque that was built in New Jersey, 2011. It started out as a small family mosque. During the process, they didn't start with facts and factual testimonies. There was little indication of the real range of activities planned, and the dramatically higher volume of participants than was understood and agreed to by the city officials. The representatives and developers made many promises and gave assurances no major changes were planned. However, what began as a small community center evolved into opening every day for all 5 daily prayers, evening lectures, education classes, sports, family nights, Ramadan, parties all night, Friday prayer services were only estimated at 200 attendees. Instead, there were hundreds at special services, hundreds of cars coming and going all day, month-long Ramadan services, parties all night. I lived in Kuwait. I can attest to that. So, after years after it was built, residents' complaints were documented. Heavy and dangerous traffic, call to prayer broadcasts, double and triple parking in the neighborhood and parking lots, intruders into neighborhood yards, unknown families having picnics in neighborhood yards, praying on their sidewalks and their driveways, intruders, heavy litter and overflowing trash issues, inadequate portable toilets, dumping of concrete and debris onto public property, non-compliance with food service requirements, reckless driving, increased police visits for burning of the outhouses during Ramadan, frequent late night to early morning car and patron noise, class 3 vehicles, shuttles, buses, delivery trucks, semis parked in the facility, on the street, and in the neighborhood, even though it's against city ordinances, reckless driving, bullying, physical attacks, threats, etc. City council meeting notes reflect these concerns were brought up month after month and never addressed. Meeting notes indicated that the mayor, city manager, and city attorney were highly critical of the continual citizen complaints. In turn, the citizens were highly critical of the failure of the city management to address their concerns. Lack of truthfulness and transparency in the estimates, lack of factual estimates of use and transparency, failure of the city to address changes and impacts of the changes to the neighborhood, failure to enforce and penalize continued abuses of the agreements, refusal to take action on the part of the city council. Thank you.
Okay, we have Edward Lang, and then after that, we have Joel Tenme from Iowa City.
Good evening, Friscoistan. What are you guys doing here? Inviting the enemy to eat at the table with you, and they steal all your food. Your children will grow up without a place to be in because every single one of their jobs, and you saw the children that were brought up on this stage, not one of them is a heritage American. Not one of them was a Texan. Your replacement is here, Americans, and it is coming faster and faster. The Hindus and the Muslims are teaming up to take over Texas. This is not Muslims versus Hindus here. They are here to eradicate the Christians. They are here to drive us out of our homelands. You have to understand, these people do not want to assimilate. These people have not come here to become Americans. They have come here to drag their third world culture over to our country. If Jainism, if Hinduism is so great, why are their countries shitholes? They are bringing this ideology here to turn the third world is not a place. It is a people. It is an ideology. It is a way of life. It is a culture. And when they bring their people, their way of life, their ideology, and their culture over to America, do you think it's going to remain American? Have you ever looked across the plains of Texas and said, I need 5 million Jeets here right now to shit in the street? No one ever has. No one has ever looked across and said, the football fields, the games, all of the amazing cowboy. I have a First Amendment right, and I can curse if I want to.
Watch language.
I can talk if I want to. No one has ever looked across the plains of Texas and the football games and all the amazing cowboy culture and the raw American spirit here and said, let's replace this with Muslims. Let's replace this with Hindus. Texas should remain for Texans. Have you lost your mind selling your children's future? Did you see the Boys and Girls Club of America standing on this stage? Is it even recognizable to what you would have seen the Boy Scouts 15 or 20 years ago? It is a replacement. It is not right. Just because it's happening to white people does not make it okay. You guys are complicit. This is the jellyfish generation, half boomer, half Gen X. You don't care about my children's children. You are selling out this country to people who do not want to live near you. They want to build their own separate, segregated zones where they practice their religion, their food, their way of dress, their language. They don't care about white culture. They don't care about American culture. They don't like you. They will replace you. Their culture in both Muslim and Hindu is pedophilia. And I have the child marriage in Mensur Maruti, which is one of their religious texts. It suggests a 30-year-old man marry a 12-year-old woman, or a 24-year-old man is perfect for an 8-year-old girl. What the fuck is wrong with you inviting these people into our country? This is a Christian country. Name one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence that's a Hindu or Muslim.
Thank you.
You all deserve to be
Time's
strong.
up.
You are selling our country short. If I lived in Texas, I would burn down one of these fucking mosques.
Hey.
Note, we are going to try to get back to our meeting in a professional and respectful way. Next. Thank you. Next.
Just going forward, if there's any outburst, you're going to be immediately removed from the meeting. So we're going to have our peace officers here at the front, and it's been your final warning. We're sitting here all night listening to everyone who chose to come speak to us, and we're listening to you respectfully. We request and demand that you treat us with respect as well.
So next is Joel Teamy from Iowa City, Iowa. After that, we'll have Kelly Smith from Aubrey.
Good evening, council members. It's a pleasure to speak before you this evening. Thank you for hearing everybody and giving everybody a chance to speak. You may be asking yourselves, what is a guy from Iowa doing here in this town to speak on this issue? Well, actually, I come from Texas royalty. My great-grandfather was the first president of the Texas Republic. And for a lot of you, that might sound crazy. Wait a minute, Texas was a republic. But yes, it was. And my great-grandfather was Sam Houston. Also, another great-grandfather of mine was Davy Crockett, who fought in the Alamo. And if I go back even further than that, my great-great-great-grandfathers fought under General George Washington in the Continental Army. I was born on Langley Air Force Base. Almost every single one of my family members has served in the U.S. Armed Forces. Me, I took a different route. I went into ministry, traveled to 58 countries preaching the gospel. I was kidnapped and held hostage in 2021 by Islamists in the Middle East. While on a missions trip to take care of the Coptic widows and fatherless, if you remember the 21 men that were beheaded on that beach by ISIS in Libya, I was taking care of their families. My children have lived on the mission field, on the front lines. Even my kids, my oldest, are 8 years old, and their friends were killed by Muslims. I don't want to bring any mosque to Texas, ever. We shouldn't have one here. It's incompatible with what it means to be an American. The oldest mosque in the United States actually is about 50 minutes from where I live now, where I raised my family. I'm 29 years old. I have 6 children. I'm one of 17 children, a Catholic family, most of whom live in this area, by the way. My brother is married to an Indian. She was a Muslim Indian, and when she came to America, she converted to Catholicism, learned English, and married her husband, my brother. And that's what assimilation looks like. When she was looking for a place of worship, she didn't suggest building a mosque. She decided to go to a church, because that's where we worship as Americans in this country. The question is for Texans, what does it mean to be Texan? This question is very important, because as we build temples in this state, we are changing the layout and the structure and the fabric of this beautiful Texas state. So listen, this is not what we want. Christ is King. May God bless America, and stay true to your roots. God bless you guys. Fight for it.
Kelly Smith, and then next we have Kaylee Campbell.
Here are my views as to why I oppose another giant Indian temple in North Texas. If you are hostile against Christians anywhere in the world, you do not belong in Texas. Dr. Prak Vinla Kapudi is seen on video promoting Gita Mandir, and he says, and I quote, "It is very important that we preserve our culture, especially in this country, the United States," talking about Indian culture. He is also seen in another interview talking about protecting their children from Christianity, and yet here he is in North Texas promoting the new temple. Why? I know I said I was done speaking up here, but after an extremely offensive speech last time, I could not stay silent. Everybody wants to say hate has no home in Frisco. That phrase needs to be changed to hate has no home in Frisco unless you're from India and you want to come to city council meetings and tell Americans that their country is nothing but stolen land and you don't need to assimilate or honor their culture. While the Indians on temporary work visas are completely changing the face of Texas, Texas life and culture is shrinking. There are Indian stores and shops everywhere you look. Do the Christian and Baptist pastors think that their churches will survive this once all of their members are bullied out of their neighborhoods? Some people are acting like I went over to India and started to disrespect their culture and their people while standing on their soil. I'm not arrogant enough to do that. I'm a Texan. This is my home. This is my country. These people are coming here and disrespecting us. The hypocrisy of them getting to say they want to preserve their Indian culture while simultaneously destroying ours is outstanding. While I was working in property management, it's like a day on the phone. Every day was an Indian migration. America is not stolen land. It was conquered and built by European settlers and explorers. Because of their blood, sweat, and tears and sacrifice, my ancestors, I have every right to say I'm proud of my country, and I don't want to see it turn into India or Islam. To quote the actor James Woods, let's get it clear once and for all. This isn't about race, folks. It's a democratic trick. It's about culture. Am I a racist? Absolutely not. I'm a culturalist. Unequivocally, yes. You can't assimilate to this culture, values, or laws, or our traditions. You need to get out. What holds America together is common commitment to the principles that built this country. If a house is divided against itself, the house cannot stand. The people here only see Texas as an economic zone to drain us of our resources. They commit massive H-1B fraud and disrespect our land. I'm standing up here saying what a lot of people are thinking but are not saying. If you guys think Texans are happy being replaced with India, you guys need to have your head checked. That area in question should be a park or a Christian church. Praise Jesus. God bless Texas. I'm related to General James Smith. He's also a man in Texas history. He helped shape the state.
Thank you.
Thanks. Kaylee Campbell, and then after that we have Krista Child, Roy City.
Good evening, Council. I'm not here tonight to tell you what you should or should not do. However, it is important for the audience to understand why and how this decision came to be. Under Cheney's direction, this decision was made months ago, before it was ever brought before the Planning and Zoning Committee, so tonight we're going to talk about the why. The Hindu groups have met with city staff roughly 40 times and have made more than 160 revisions to their plans over the past 3 to 4 years. Meanwhile, the Muslim groups began construction on the mosque before any city approvals from City Council or the Planning and Zoning Committee. Steel and concrete have already been put in place without the proper approvals or permits. The concerns surrounding the mosque extend beyond disagreements with their messaging or underlying agenda. There are also practical concerns involving parking, traffic, and other disruptions. Based on the information I have gathered, here's the conclusion I have reached. These plans have already been approved behind closed doors. It doesn't matter what we say up here today. The mosque is being approved under the cover of the temple proposal so that when all of this is said and done, you can go back to both the Muslim and the Hindu communities and say, look what I did for you. Now vote for Mark Hill. You and Mark Hill do not view these communities as people. You view them as political chess pieces in your own game. I also believe there is reason to think that if Mark Hill is elected, he will appoint you to multiple positions and or board seats, extending the influence and power you are clearly unwilling to let go of. Cheney, you have had 9 years to unite Frisco and beyond. And yet under your leadership, this is what the city has been dealing with since the beginning of the year at least. You are not uniting Frisco. You are taking advantage of its citizens to advance your own agenda, creating problems and then presenting yourself as the one to offer solutions. And Cheney, don't bother denying your involvement with Mark Hill's campaign. After all, when someone refers to him as Cheney 2.0 and you become so offended that you feel compelled to make a Facebook post ranting about it, doesn't that reveal your own lack of confidence as a leader? I believe every person in this room and beyond is a child of God, and I believe that Jesus Christ died for all of our sins. I do not believe in dishonesty, undermining the people, or using positions of power to advance personal agendas. Frisco has the ability to grow a great legacy and to be known positively across America, but you are at a crossroads of that legacy with America watching what happens here today. If you want to be treated like a chess piece, vote for Cheney 2.0. If you want to be treated like a citizen of Frisco, vote for Rod Vilhauer. The city of Frisco will move on without you, Cheney. Don't let the doors hit you on the way out.
First, I want to address the defamatory remarks the speaker made against me. None of those remarks are true. That would be illegal. And so the zoning case has followed every law in the book, and I didn't know about it until it was posted on our agenda this week. So thank you.
All right, Krista?
Yes.
Shield?
Shield?
Shield.
Yes.
And next after that, we'll have Aunt Jane from Richardson.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. My name is Krista Shield. I'm the Texas Director for RARE Foundation. RARE Foundation brought the criminal investigations and lawsuits against East Plano Islamic Center, and Quad City Mosque is connected in an Islamic association with East Plano Islamic Center. Now, the evidence that RARE brought forth is so compelling that our governor and attorney general opened criminal investigations and even lawsuits against them, including a lawsuit against for his involvement with terror-tied mosques. Why this expansion is a red flag. I'm going to bring about some information and some questions for you. And I compel you that if you cannot answer these questions, then I'm going to respectfully request that you send them back to P&Z with an appeal. Their Sharia enforcement is central to ICQC. This is not a mere place of worship. It is a legalistic Islamic hub with strict compliance to Sharia. You cannot be a board member on ICQC without adhering to Sharia strictly in your personal and professional lives. The Imam's legal training enables direct Islamic governance. Mufti Tafsir background suggests a push for Islamic jurisprudence in local matters. The potential for foreign funding and ideological infiltration is that many Deobandi-linked mosques receive backing from Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Gulf states. Oh, and by the way, the Deobandi, which is Frisco Mosque, which is the Aubrey Mosque, and that imam, that's connected to the San Bernardino terrorist attacks. A growing Islamic corridor in Texas, with a rapid expansion of mosques in Dallas, Houston, and Austin, the Texas Triangle suggests a deliberate effort to establish Islamic strongholds in the state's most economically and politically significant areas. In commercial and social services dominance, ICQC's plan to lease office space, operate clinics, and control community outreach gives it economic leverage over the area. And by the way, you need to know that the imam who was involved in the fundraiser for ICQC is not allowed in the UK because he's considered that dangerous. Think about it. The UK, that is pretty much taken down by Sharia right now, considers him too dangerous, and yet he's right here, and he fundraised for this mosque expansion here in Frisco.
What?
This is not just a local issue, it is a national one, and the growing push for Sharia within the U.S. borders requires immediate exposure and your due diligence.
All right, we have Anant Jain, and then next we have Rupal Sagavi from Irving.
Hi, my name is Rupal Sangvi, and I'm a software engineer, and I'm here to speak in favor of the Jain Society of North Texas project. Before I start, I wanted to thank everyone for taking the time to be here and acknowledge the commonality that all of us here share. Each of you not just wishes the best for the community through your mere words, but through action. To take 3 hours of your evening to be here instead of with your family or relaxing, to advocate for what you each believe is the best approach. We each may hold different perspectives due to the different life experiences we have had, but each of us has this in common, that we are people of action. I respect each person here for that dedication and sincerity, and I deeply hope in the future that even if we hold different perspectives on important issues, we can still be amicable with one another and initiate discussion efforts to understand one another better and reflect on what we have in common. Adding on to what the others have already said about our Jain community, the Worship Center would help connect the community and create learning and leadership opportunities that would enable us to give back to our local communities. I'd like to share a quick short story showing the impact of the Jain community on how we can give back. In 2025, I came across a lengthy handwritten note near my apartment community from someone who was planning to end their life the next day. They were a parent who would be leaving behind 2 kids. The letter had no name or contact info. I searched for any hints of who it may be from or where it may have came from. I desperately called mental health experts, friends, and ChatGPT, but to figure out what to do when you find a suicide note. In the end, I wrote a note saying that I want this person to live and that they are loved and needed, and shared my name and email. Then I called the police and explained the situation and shared the note with them for next steps. I'm not sure if the person was discovered and saved, and this is on me for not following up, but I hope I did something to help. I share this story because I fully credit the Jain community and the Worship Center that enabled me to know what to do in a situation like this through the mentorship, leadership, and values that they inculcated. I'm grateful to them and hope to continue to give back to my local community as an upcoming software engineer at a startup called Enable You that is working on connecting people experiencing homelessness with resources. Thank you for your time.
Rupal Sanghavi from Irving. And then after that, we will have Ashley Loudon from McKinney. Anybody coming this way? Okay, then one more call, Ashley Loudon from McKinney. Going on to the next one, Kelly Neidert from Little Elm.
Before my time starts, can you let me know when I have a minute left?
We'll get a
30-second
timer
warning.
right there.
Oh, it's right there. Just kidding.
No.
No, we set it for you.
I don't touch anything.
You don't have
Okay.
to touch anything. It'll
Okay.
turn off.
All right. Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Ashley Loudon. As a follower of Jesus Christ, I am commanded to love everyone, and I do. Even as my Christian brothers and sisters are being executed by the Islamic regimes in Nigeria, I remind myself that Jesus died for them too, and I truly pray for their salvation daily. But love does not mean surrender. Our Constitution demands one legal system for all Americans, rooted in equal rights, due process, and the clear supremacy of American law over any religious code. Elements of Sharia, as practiced in many Islamic institutions, directly contradict core American principles: equal protection for women and girls, the prohibition of child marriages, freedom from gender-based discrimination, and the absolute rejection of any parallel legal authority. Approving large facilities where such practices could take root without rigorous independent review risks importing a system that undermines the very oath you took to defend the Constitution. We cannot allow parallel rules that erode the single set of laws that bind this nation together. I respectfully urge you as leaders of this city to do your due diligence and educate yourselves on what it is that you are endorsing. I respectfully request that you deny this approval. It is our duty to protect our republic, our Constitution, our children, and the next generation of Americans. Our country deserves nothing less. I have a minute left, and I want to point out, if any of you are familiar with the Epic City Mosque in Plano, around April 6th or April 8th, the owner filed a lawsuit against 2 Christian missionaries from preaching the gospel near the mosque. And although it was knocked down by a judge because it was a violation of the First Amendment, why is the owner filing a lawsuit against Christians for saying the name Jesus? And I understand that it is in the Bible that in the end days that this will happen, but that does not mean we are to be complacent and to get there quicker than we should. Thank you.
Next, we have Kelly Neidert from Little Elm, and then after that, we will have Amit Jain from Richardson.
Hello, my name is Kelly Neidert, and I'm the Executive Director of Texas Coalition for Kids. As a lifelong resident of North Texas, it's heartbreaking to see so many parts of Frisco now completely unrecognizable. The city and parts of North Texas in general have been transformed by rapid influxes of foreign immigrants, most of whom refuse to assimilate. Let me be clear, the cultures of these unassimilated immigrants are fundamentally incompatible with American life and American values. Islam in particular is incompatible with the US and Texas constitutions. Its fundamental doctrines and Sharia principles clash with core American freedoms, including equal rights for women, freedom of speech, and separation of religion and state. Many Muslim-majority countries demonstrate this incompatibility through systemic discrimination and suppression of dissenting beliefs. We urge City Council to immediately deny the building of this mosque. You took an oath to uphold the Constitution, now uphold it. Protect Frisco and Texas values. Thank you.
Okay, next is Amit Jain. Not speaking? Okay. All right, then we have Raja Sakar Rao from Little Elm. After that, we will have Monique Gundy from Dallas.
He's right there.
Yep. Are you Raj Sakar? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members, fellow residents. My name is Rajshekhar Rao Sankara. I'm a resident of Little Elm, and I stand here today in support of Gita Mandir. And I thank you for everyone to share their concerns about the Gita Mandir project. We are here to represent the values of learning, collective growth, spiritual growth for everyone. This is just not a building project, it's a community-centered initiative dedicated to promote peace, well-being, cultural understanding, compassion, and harmony. It's a place where families can nurture good values, character development in the times of joy and difficulty, and where the service to society is highly encouraged. More importantly, Gita Mandir welcomes everyone regardless of their background, religion, ethnicity. It seeks to foster unity, mutual respect, volunteerism, spiritual growth, and community engagement. And we have seen across the country, places of worship of all faiths strengthen the social fabric by encouraging the moral responsibility. And I would also like to mention on behalf of Gita Mandir team that we would like to work with city to address the concerns raised by the fellow residents surrounding this project, whether it pertains to stopping the access to the internal roads or to build a more insulated wall. We are happy to address and make it a community project rather than just a Gita Mandir project. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have Monique Gundy from Dallas.
Yes.
Nope, not speaking. Okay. Next, we have Pastor Rod Parker from Collinsville. And then after that, we'll have Philip Anderson from Mesquite.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Cheney, and everybody here tonight. I'm Pastor Rod Parker, and I'm a concerned North Texan. I'm a father, a husband, and a papa. And I'm not here tonight because I want to be. I'm here tonight for my children, my grandchildren, and yours as well. I'm really concerned about the leadership of Frisco. I grew up here. I've owned businesses here. I buy and sell real estate, flip houses, and I'm bivocational. I'm an entrepreneur. I love Texas. I love Frisco. But I'm even listening to some of this stuff tonight. Are you kidding me? 25, 30 years that we don't change legislation? You guys, I just say shame on the leadership. Because let me just tell you something, it all starts with leadership. The blood will be on your hands. The blood will be on your hands. And there is a war going on. There's a war going on. There's a culture war going on. Every second of every minute of every hour of every day, there's a war going on. But we war not. The Bible says that we war not with flesh and blood. Let's make it crystal clear. He says we war not with flesh and blood. But we war against principalities and powers of darkness. That's it. And first and foremost, I'm a blood-bought, I'll say that for those in the back row, I'm a blood-bought, born-again Christian. And Jesus is Lord. We don't worship Allah. He's dead. Our God is alive, and He's all about love. And I love each and every person. I really do. I don't love your ideology. I don't love what your religion believes. But I'll just say this, I'm going to be fairly quick because I don't want to echo. There's been a lot of great things said tonight on both sides. Because I'm sitting here and I'm going, you know what? I'm not against immigration. Most of us here tonight are not against immigration. I'm against illegal immigration. And I believe that the legislation is corrupt. For us not to change legislation, our world is changing by the day, by the minute. And we're going to go 25, 30 years with the same legislation? It starts with leadership. It always has. And let me tell you something. Our freedom has never been free, and it never will be free. And it's time for the sons and daughters. The Bible says that the world is anxiously waiting for the sons and daughters to rise. And if you'll read Revelation, there's a whole list of things that'll get you into the lake of hell. And things like murder and adultery and all kinds of things. But it's kind of funny that the first thing on that list is cowardly. And that's the problem. That's why we're facing what we're facing right now is we got a bunch of cowards And your days are numbered. Vote for Rod Vilhauer.
Okay, we have Philip Anderson from Mesquite. And then after that, we have Vivek Kumar from Plano.
Don't start my time yet. 1 second. Thank you. Interesting hearing what everyone had to say. A lot of nonsense, really, because...
Philip, will you please speak into the microphone?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Interesting hearing what everyone had to say tonight. But I heard a lot of nonsense, a lot of people, deflecting with, feelings, sensitivities, that's not what this is about. Or Muslim hate, that's not what this is about. You guys chose to come here, okay? We didn't ask you, you chose to come here, which is okay, but this is about the fact that you want to make it seem as if it's about, routine zoning and laws. It's not about that. It's not about one mosque or one Islamic development being built. It's not about that. It's about the fact that if we ask you to sign a legally binding document saying we only want to make 10 or 100 mosques, you would not sign it. If we asked you to surrender any possibility of taking over the state of Texas, you would not surrender that, and that's a fact. Even tonight, you could walk up and you would not do that. We ask you to surrender any possibility of taking over the United States of America. You would not do that. I don't hate you. I'm just not going to chop off my arms and legs and hand it over to you because you want to talk about sensitivities or Muslim hate. Because we don't hate you. We're not coming to your home and trying to dominate you, trying to take over your schools. You're doing that to us, okay? And thank you. Thank you very much. And I don't really feel like we're equal tonight. I feel like generational Americans, Christians of all backgrounds are getting looked down on. Well, people can talk about just feelings and hysteria and call things that are actual facts propaganda, when it's just true when you look around the world and even in the United States of America. It's never just one mosque being built. It's just one at a time, but it's always simultaneously 10 over here, 10 over there. So that's not what this is. If we're equal, if you actually are our neighbors, then why can't we just talk honestly? Why do we have to bullshit and be dishonest and put on a whole act? Seriously, just promise us that you're not going to take over our city, not going to take over our neighborhoods, and then we can call you our neighbor. The problem is you won't do that. We don't hate you. We're just not going to hand over our heritage, our national identity, our posterity, just because you came over here in the last 2 years and say, hand over everything to us or else you're hateful. You would never do that for us, so why should we do that to you? Why would we do that for you? Now, I heard someone say that diversity is our strength. So I want to be clear. I'm a person of color. I'm also an immigrant. I want to be very clear. That is not our strength. That talking point is complete and total garbage for people that want to destroy this country, want to destroy Western civilization. I'll tell you what our strength is. Our strength is when I swore allegiance to the United States of America. Your interests, Americans, became my interests. All of that, your life, I want to decide that I would surrender everything. That's not what this is. If we're Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Next, we have Vivek Kumar. After that, we have James Filler from Little Elm. Still no? Okay. Next, we have Mark Palaciano from Garland. After that, we have a Jane Doe.
Hello, tyrants. I'm happy to be here for another night of charades with the Frisco City Council members taking oaths to the Constitution that they won't protect. The amount of tyranny and treason happening in our local and federal government is absolutely insane. And let me prove my point. Frisco is approving 2 new Indian temples, and I've exposed who owns both of them within the last week. One of them is being funded by a nonprofit that's being led by India's foreign affairs asset. Yeah, let me repeat that again. Rohit Gangwal is India's foreign affairs asset for the Bharatiya Janata Party. Rohit is also the president of the North Texas Jain Society. The North Texas Jain Society is the owner of the temple on Lebanon that you're approving tonight. The Bharatiya Janata Party is registered as a foreign agent in the United States. So to clarify, the foreign affairs asset for a foreign agent in the United States is the president of the nonprofit funding the new Jain Indian temple here in Frisco. Do you understand how crazy that is? The Texas I grew up in is long gone, and y'all are a big part of the problem. And for the other Hindu Indian temple at Lone Star and FM 423 being approved tonight, I exposed how Mahesh Dara and his nonprofit Gita Mandir are operating H-1B companies with employees registered to home addresses with no business listed. Do any of you care? Not surprised. I emailed all of you twice in the last week sharing this information and telling you I was going to come talk about it. Your tyranny is on display for everyone to see. When India's foreign government is able to operate in your state and city, you got a huge problem that's not being addressed. Since Texas is pretending to investigate H-1B fraud, let me share a few that should also be investigated. Covtis LLC, CEO Rohit Gangwal. Rohit is also the foreign affairs asset for India's Bharatiya Janata Party. Covtis has 12 registered H-1Bs to their own office. Covtis accepted $163,776 in PPP loans that were forgiven. Moon IT Solutions, CEO Mahesh Dara, who is also the vice president of nonprofit Gita Mandir. Moon IT Solutions has 22 registered H-1Bs to home addresses with no business listed. Moon IT Solutions accepted $483,300 in PPP loans. Cloud Mellow Consulting and Cellnet, CEO Shreyansh Jain. Cellnet accepted $156,000 in PPP loans. Cloud Mellow accepted $389,000. Do some of those names sound familiar to you guys? Because they're donating to some of you. I've just exposed your tyranny to your face, and it's documented forever in this city council meeting. And the best part about it is you did this to yourself. When I came here last year in April and asked you to help me because I'm a T-Mobile whistleblower, you should have helped me. Instead, you disrespected me, didn't take me seriously, and you even used your police department to trespass me for my First Amendment right. I'll see you on June 2nd.
Okay. Sorry. Yes, James Fuller.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. First of all, Mayor Cheney, thank you very much at the beginning of the meeting for putting it on the record that if there's a way to find a reason, that it could lead to reassessing what is occurring tonight. So please remember, all of you, that every day you took an oath to the Constitution. My family came here in the 1600s for religious freedom. I love any culture which assimilates into Western culture and American values. I believe in the First Amendment. I have 50 friends from Egypt, Saudi, Turkey, Iran. I've lived overseas, been to Jordan, Dubai, have a visa from Saudi, and worked in the Middle East. With the goal to support counsel to say no with codes to back it up. And I'm going to mention you too, Attorney Abernethy. Did you know that you have free individual access to the Texas Municipal League ethics attorney? Call him anytime and ask him anything you want. Texas municipalities derive authority to deny developments in conflict with your long-term vision, which is in your comp plan. Please pick up a pencil. Chapter 211 and Chapter 213 of the Texas Local Government Code is your friend. Texas Code 211.004 mandates that all municipal zoning must be adopted in accordance with the comprehensive plan. Many people said they're concerned about that. Page 166 of the Frisco comprehensive plan is the only page that discusses traffic and needed traffic circulation, and that churches should not be located at residential subdivision entrances. Proposed Quad Cities is next to a very dense residential area, and several people have discussed that. Next, 211.006 and 007 of the Texas Local Government Code mandates that municipalities notify the property owners within 200 feet of a property. As of 3 days ago, the next door neighbor to the Quad property states they were never notified and had no idea it was an Islamic center. Just say no, because you have benchmarks. South Carolina, Hoover, Alabama, Keller, Texas, Kaufman, Texas, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, Hunt County. Others have said, no, you are not alone and you are not first. Lastly, municipal discretionary decisions to decline a proposed development are possible. Let's talk about RLUIPA. So the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act, RLUIPA, can be used. Please become familiar with that. Attorney Abernathy, have you looked at the Living Water Church of God versus Charter Township of Meridian? Sixth Circuit Court deemed that the town permit did not impose a substantial burden on the church's exercise, so the denial stood. Second case, Chabad Lubatovich of Litchfield County versus Borough of Litchfield. The denial of the permission to locate in downtown district was challenged under RLUIPA, but the court rejected the claim and upheld the municipality decision. Frisco can do the same. When a proposed land use also is classified as a conditional use, you must look at that because the standards can be very dangerous. And so thank you, because you also have traffic issues, safety issues, and not enough police and fire, which are going to be redirecting traffic. Thank you very much.
Okay, James Fuller, and then after that we'll have Ryan Scallon.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm James Fuller. I'm from Little Elm, lived in Frisco for 20 years, raised 4 kids that graduate from your wonderful schools, one of them a United States Marine, protecting every single person there and back here. I want to make sure that the council is fully aware of facts versus fiction. We are working towards, and I represent the Jain Society, we are working towards building a community center. No need to bring our president, who's a wonderful volunteer, out and try to throw dirty laundry that is libelous, factually incorrect. So I just would like to take a moment. I was going to withhold remarks, but as representatives of those good people, I just want to make it very clear that that individual has no H-1B visas working at his company. He has one. He has one working at his IT company. An IT company, I have a lot of IT experience. It's very common to have H-1B visas with specialized expertise. So I just felt it was very important to represent the truth, not libel, and not slander. So I appreciate your time.
All right, we have Ryan Scallon from Dallas. And then after that, we will have Caitlin Hausman from Prosper.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Scanlon. Thank you, Frisco City Council, for letting me speak today. I was born and raised here in DFW, been here all my life, a former FC Dallas season ticket holder, a frequent visitor to here in Frisco, and every day I miss the delicious Tex-Mex food of Cheetos that was right down the road. I always chose that place for my birthday family dinners. And like so many of us here, I'm a descendant of immigrants to this country, specifically Mexican and French, German, Irish immigrants, European immigrants. The first European settlers came to this land fleeing religious persecution. Protestants fleeing the Catholic states of France and Spain, Catholics fleeing both the Protestant England and Northern German Protestant nations within the Holy Roman Empire. What did England, France, Spain, and most of Europe all have in common during that time? State religion and laws to persecute and restrict those that follow something other than the approved state religion. The opponents of 25 want exactly that, to restrict others' freedom to worship. They stand in direct contrast to the founding principles of this country, and one of the prime reasons why Europeans fled to this landmass as refugees in the first place. What we've seen tonight is fear and hatred born of ignorance. The residual sulfuric stench of white Christian nationalism is entering my left nostril as I speak. A complete lack of understanding of the religion they speak against. They have no idea what they say. Have you read Sharia law? Have you read the Quran? Have you? Or have you just heard Rush, Tucker, or some other bigot tell you about it? Love thy neighbor? I guess the saying really is true. There is no hate like Christian love. This hatred for others' religions or ethnicities is absolutely senseless, disgusting, and tragic, especially since this was all already approved more than 2 decades ago. What is the use of your hurtful words today? Nothing. Against your neighbors that your kids are growing up with, neighbors that are playing, their kids are playing with your kids. They're watching Mitch Rachel together. They're probably all singing the song Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters. We're all neighbors, and our neighbors want somewhere to worship. And as someone that goes to Mass every Sunday, that believes in freedom of worship, I proudly stand with their want. So thanks for letting me speak, and yeah, this is crazy.
Caitlin Houseman. Sir.
Sir.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Hosman, and I wasn't planning on speaking, so I don't have a good speech like everyone else does. But I would just wanted to say that there's been a lot of disheartening rhetoric and hate speech that has been spoken tonight. And I just want everyone to consider what they're thinking and what they're really saying out loud, because are you really getting your information from, scholarly resources, reputable newspaper sources, or are you getting them from Facebook? Have you actually vetted your sources? And then where do people see that a mosque is going to directly lead to us handing over our country to Muslims? Have you actually sat down with a Muslim person or a Hindu family? And have you actually heard what they believe in? And then just think about some of the people who talked tonight. Did they seem like crazy child rapists or murderers? They're just humans, and some people are really hurt by the rhetoric. I went to Prosper High School and the University of Texas at Austin, and a lot of people are concerned about the assimilation of, the brown people here, but I can firmly say from my experience at Prosper High School and UT, they are fully assimilated here. I was an RA at UT, and I punished just as many people from brown people, white people, any religion for drinking and stuff like that. They are just the same. And so I just want people to consider what they're saying. Just imagine if it was happening in Afghanistan or Iraq, where they were, voting against building a church there. That would be considered crazy to us. So I just want people to really think about what they're saying and just, verify their sources before they speak.
Next, we have Michelle Cheney from Terrell.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First, I would like to start by apologizing to each one of you. The guy in the bulletproof vest sent me over the edge, and I had to say something. That was disrespectful, and I apologize. My name is Michelle. I live in Terrell, but my whole family is from Frisco, or lives in Frisco. My friends live here. My mother is buried here. And regardless of where I get my mail, Frisco is my home. I have heard things tonight that I find horrifying. And there is an assumption that all Muslims and all Hindu practitioners are not American citizens. There is an assumption here and a bias that they are immigrants and they do not belong. For the record, 1% of the US population is Muslim. 1%, around 1%, is also Hindu. These are not threats to this country. Of that 1.3% who are Muslims, 84% are US citizens. They have the same rights that I have, that these people have, that every other citizen in this room has. Period. End of story. We do not, as Christians, get to claim the United States as a Christian state. To be clear, there is also a confusion that the Indian population is Muslim, and the reality is the vast majority are Hindu, the most peaceful religion on the planet. Second, Muslims represent such a small group, and yet we're sitting here talking as if it's a takeover. Also, I wanted to mention, most Muslims living in this country explicitly reject violence and extremism. That is well documented by the Pew Research and other research groups in this country. Look it up. Yet I'm hearing unsubstantiated claims that Muslims are bringing demonic influences and Sharia law into this country. That is impossible. We are protected by the Constitution and the legal system in this country. The one thing I wanted to say is, before I wrap up, as Christians, I would argue when we use hostility and contempt against our neighbors in the name of defending God, we undermine the very faith we claim to represent. Which brings me to a few questions. Can anyone point to a single example where Jesus Christ himself generalized or condemned an entire group as universally evil? And can anyone point to a single example where he acted as if the way that these so-called righteous Christians are acting today?
Thank you, ma'am.
No.
Okay, that's all the speakers we had for this evening. I think I need staff to come. It's been over 3 hours since we talked about what we're actually voting on tonight or deciding tonight. And so I just wanted to kind of review that. Oh, I guess he had.
Who is who?
He may be done during citizen input.
What was the name?
What's the name? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was listed as open citizens input.
But you can speak here. It's fine.
Yeah, if you want to speak now, we'll add you to the 25.
You want to read the other names? Yes, please. Read the other names and see if any of them.
Okay. All right, while he's making his way to the platform, the other ones that we have for citizens input are Saeed Ali, Simon Matter, Anna Grace Shanks, Josh Meek, Joel Tinley, he already spoke, Edward Lang, he's no longer here, and Mohammed Saeed. If any of you are wanting to speak on this item versus later citizens input, please let me know.
Ready? How you doing? You can't tear down. If you give the devil this, he'll take that. The American flag. He'll take it. He doesn't stop ever. And you can't run people out of their houses and take their homes away from them to give it to these others. That's what we're seeing here. And we're seeing it all across the country and all across the world. Genesis 12, 1 through 3, it says that those who curse Jews, I will curse. God said that. The Muslims, according to the Bible, the Muslims are cursed. And if you throw in with them, if we throw in with them, we'll be cursed. And all across the country, there's cancers being formed. And there's one being formed right here, what they're trying to do right here. Some people over there, they were just kind of smirking and laughing and having a good time, no matter what was said up here. They don't have any respect at all, and apparently no fear for God. But you know what? There was a king. He didn't have respect for God, and he was eaten by worms. Nobody in this room, your breath in your body, God controls it. And so if you want to go ahead and vote with the devil and go with him, I don't know, why do you think you would wind up coming back here tomorrow? God can control that. And what we have to do, we can't do this I'm not big enough and strong enough to do anything. I can't convince you of anything. But you know what I can do? I can pray to God, and I can ask him to do something. And he says, my people called by my name, if they will humble themselves and pray to me, I will hear from heaven and heal their land. And that's what I'd asked him to do, about heal that cancel right there. And if something needs to be gotten rid of, that he would do that. I can pray that and let him do it, because I can't really do anything. Appreciate it.
Were there any other people to speak on item 25? Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor and the Council. First of all, congratulations, Laura, on your re-election, and Brittany on winning the election, our new council member, Women Power, on the council now. So congratulations to all the women here leading the Frisco City. I'm here to speak in support of the mosque that is being built in Frisco, ICQC, as well as the two temples. And I strongly believe in the freedom of practicing the religion in this country. I have lived in Frisco for 22 years. This is my home. This is the home of all the Muslims and Hindus that live here as well. This is where I have raised my family. I have built lifelong relationships and friendships, and I've watched this city grow into one of the most vibrant and diverse cities in America. I'm speaking tonight because I care deeply about what kind of city we choose to be moving forward. Frisco is a city built by neighbors from different backgrounds, faiths, and cultures who chose to live together with respect. Hate has no home in Frisco. Fear-mongering has no home in Frisco, and attempts to turn neighbor against neighbor should have no home in Frisco. This past week, we witnessed the horrifying shooting at a mosque in San Diego. Words matter, rhetoric matters. When people are constantly portrayed as threats, outsiders, or enemies, it creates an environment where ignorance grows and hate becomes normalized. Maybe not everyone who spreads fear intends violence, but history has shown us that hateful rhetoric has consequences. I want to say clearly tonight, Muslims in Frisco are your neighbors. We are doctors, teachers, business owners, coaches, volunteers, and public servants. We follow the laws of this city, the state of Texas, and the Constitution of the United States, just like every other American. And to those who are fearful of Muslims or fearful of Sharia, I say this sincerely to all of you. Come meet us. Come visit the mosque. Come ask us questions. Come see our curriculums. What we teach in the mosque, everything is an open book for everyone to come, sit down, have coffee with us, break the bread with us. And to our candidate for Mayor Rod, I say this directly to you as well. I genuinely invite you to come meet the Muslim community firsthand, not through social media posts, not through the internet conspiracy theories, but through real human interaction. I believe conversations build understanding far more than fear ever will. Frisco's future cannot be built on suspicion and division. It must be built on truth, dignity, and human connection. Thank you.
Back to staff then.
Okay. Those are all the comments we had on this item. Just to review what's before council tonight. Let staff get back up here if y'all going to come back up. So again, just to reiterate, the zoning for all the properties has been in place for all 3 sites for a minimum of 25 years, in some cases as much as 35 years. The state of Texas governs the rules that we follow as elected officials as far as how we honor zoning cases. A couple of questions that came up. One person did ask if a specific use permit is required for a church, but it's allowed by right within the zoning classifications, correct?
Correct.
And then another man made the comment that why haven't we changed the legislation because it's been so old for 25 to 35 years. But of course, Texas is a property right state, and once entitlements are granted, then they carry with the property, and rezoning only takes place at the property owner's request. The city cannot go in and force a mandated rezoning. So that would have been the property owner that would have had to have come to request that. So the process that we're in is we have applicants that are going through their legal rights granted to them by the state of Texas, as well as the ordinances governed by the city of Frisco, to bring forth their development plats. So we're reviewing a preliminary site plan in one case and other plats in others. And this council doesn't have the option to even consider the faith or religions that are choosing to build in these plats. Even if we wanted to, not saying that we would, that is not even something that this council can take up. So any faith or religion can follow their state rights as granted through their zoning cases, and that is what we're reviewing tonight. So littered through all those comments, which don't pertain to what we're actually governing on tonight, there were, I thought, a few fair questions asked by the residents that live adjacent, one of which was the parking requirements of the plat, and that is something that we can talk about with preliminary site plans. And could you explain the process that happens with parking requirements and how it was changed for places of worship here in the last few years?
Okay, I'm going to have Joel to speak on a portion of it, but with every plan that comes in, we review it with the ordinance, and then we submit comments back to the applicant for any deficiencies for them to correct. And if they don't correct it, then we'll recommend denial. If it's required by ordinance to meet that, they're required to meet it. But there was a change that engineering had made last year. So Joel, I'll let you cover that on the parking.
So there's 2 levels of parking requirements within city code. One is the zoning ordinance, which has the minimum amount of parking that a land use would need to do, and there's all the different land uses that are possible, and it lists the minimum amount of parking based on the size of the building. And a year ago, we changed the engineering standards where there's requirements for traffic impact analyses, and we added the language that it's like the traffic impact analysis is a process where we will see what kind of parking you do a study to see how much parking you need, and if it's more than the minimum amount of parking that's required by the zoning ordinance, you'll need to provide that because we want to make sure that your site will function properly. So this, I know there's 3 cases on here. 2 of them, the most recent ones that are just now going through their site plans and preliminary site plans, have been through that process where they each had to conduct a traffic impact analysis that did a study on parking to make sure that it did have enough parking based on how big the building was and how it would operate.
Okay. And then I know for most of our neighborhood retail, we do have, typically it is our policy to have the retail connector to the neighborhood. We do have at least one instance I know where we made an exception because a religious institution was going in, and it seemed like a kind of a valid exception. Has staff given thoughts into a similar approach with that 423 site?
Yes. But I want to mention this on the history of this street stub that was done on the property. It was never done as a cul-de-sac. That's something the developer chose to do so they could build on those 2 lots to allow the fire department to operate and not have a dead-end street. The other option sometimes developers will do, acquire an easement off-site and do the cul-de-sac bulb on that side. But there were signs up on the property that stated that this street would be extended. At some point several years ago, it was removed when the gravel road was put in to the city facility there on the southern end of the property. On this, yes, we're willing to consider if the temple goes in, making it a requirement that they do the cross arm that was done for the other church facility in the city. And it would be based on an Opticom system, so it would be emergency access only. We have talked to the applicant. They're willing to do that. That is acceptable to them.
Okay. That seems like a reasonable compromise to help with those residents' concerns. Another question is some questions about the gas station. Is that allowed by right, or does that require an SUP?
Gas station is allowed by right. It's a major intersection, and that's where gas stations are limited to. Like the one person mentioned about a gas tanker going through the neighborhood, they're not going to go through a neighborhood. They're going to go off of the major thoroughfare because that will be too challenging trying to cut through a neighborhood street. So,
okay, so if council wanted to ensure that the Opticon system was put into place, would that happen tonight, or would that just be staff direction for the next plat?
Be at the next step when they come forward with that. We'll talk with the applicant and make sure that is on the site plan.
Okay. And so this may be a direct question for our city attorney, but to kind of wrap a bow up on it, they have approved zoning. They've complied with all city ordinances. We've done the traffic study required. They've met the parking requirements of the city. Mm-hmm. They've met all the requirements that they are asked to meet for a preliminary plat. And so by law, the council has to approve it.
So under the existing ordinances in the city of Frisco, the site plan, the preliminary site plan, and the plat are determined by the Planning and Zoning Commission. This council doesn't make those decisions. What the right of the council has is there are three different individuals and three different entities that can appeal a decision by P&Z if it makes it a mistake. One of them is the city council. The item on the agenda tonight is, do you appeal it? The appeal needs to be based upon, so the steps that are taken in order to approve the site plan, the preliminary site plan, and the plats are based upon, quote, objective criteria. If that objective criteria in the ordinance, in order to receive a site plan approval, is met, then the law says it's a ministerial act and it's your obligation to approve a ministerial act. If you don't approve the ministerial act, you've exposed the city to litigation and damages. And I can talk to you about cases in the Metroplex where that has happened. So unless the P&Z or the staff are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, if they haven't met the requirement, if somebody hasn't met the requirements, then it's appropriate to appeal it. If it isn't, the law says that you're supposed to approve it because it's a ministerial act. That may be more you wanted to hear, Mayor, but I want to be clear about it.
Richard, I have a question.
Yep.
You were saying that the city council can't ask for an appeal?
No, you
does
can
an
ask for
appeal automatically trigger a lawsuit?
No, it could. I'm saying you can appeal whatever you want to appeal. I'm saying the consequence to that appeal potentially could be a lawsuit. If you denied the site plan or the preliminary site plan or the plat that was otherwise approved appropriately under the ordinance, and the judge found that you should not have objected to it or attempted to overrule it, then you're potentially liable for damages.
But an appeal isn't rejecting it.
That's accurate. That's an accurate statement.
What is?
An appeal is not a rejection, a denial.
So an appeal doesn't necessarily mean we're rejecting it, and that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get a lawsuit.
None of it means you're necessarily going to get a lawsuit. It doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to get a lawsuit, though.
What does that mean?
Look, I mean,
your attorney's trying to give you advice that it gives you exposure.
Yes, I mean, by taking these actions, you're exposing yourself. That's okay. I mean, it's just a choice of the council. You do that every time you make a decision, you got risk. This is a risk here.
And then, so say for instance, council did appeal it, then it would come before city council. It wouldn't go back to P&Z, correct?
That's right.
It would come to the city council at a future meeting, and then we'd have the same meeting.
Yes.
And if all the things I just said were the case, which is they have zoning entitlements, they follow all of our city ordinances, they've done everything that they're supposed to do, then at that point, what would happen if the council rejected it?
Then you've increased your exposure if you got sued. I mean, so that's the consequence. And that's the...
Okay.
Well,
Council, any other questions that you have?
So Richard, I want to be really clear. So personal preference is not considered a legal objective ground for an appeal.
It's my recommendation that you identify what it is that's being appealed so that you can focus on the criteria that's required and was that criteria met? Because if it was, that's what you're going to be focusing on. And if you don't do that, then you've just increased your exposure.
No, I understand.
You're just getting farther and farther away from what the law says you're supposed to do.
Thank you.
So could we I'm going to speak specifically to the 423 and Lone Star Ranch property, since that one's on the preliminary site plan. And we heard from the applicant tonight that they're willing to put the gate in, as you mentioned. As we're going into the final site plan, we can tell staff, we want that gate. And we could also say, when you get the final site plan, please take extra precautions with parking because that is also an additional concern. And so we could not appeal it tonight and then let that go through the process. Is that accurate?
Okay, let me, on the gate portion, there's another process for that that's separate from this right here. But we've already discussed it. I've stated on records what willing to do is having the gate that's done similar to the other facility. So they will need to submit me an updated plan. That's something that I can handle administratively. So now the site plan wouldn't come back before unless P&Z decides to appeal, and then you just decide to appeal the P&Z's decision, because the ordinance states that as long as the site plan is in conformance with what's approved on the preliminary site plan, staff can approve that site plan. It doesn't have to go before. But if they increase the building height or they move the building closer, this applies to what's closest to residential, that's a major amendment. That has to go back before the Planning and Zoning Commission. And that's something that Jonathan covered at the P&Z meeting last week.
I have a question, John. I heard a couple things tonight. I heard the applicant say that they're willing to put in additional screening. They want to be a good neighbor to the neighborhood, and they also were agreeable to the gate, which I think is admirable on their behalf. But I also heard something about lodging in the temple, and I don't know if that changes the use
That's
of
the first I've heard of it. Okay, so
just,
I mean, we haven't heard about it, so this is the first, and so that's something that we need to explore.
that was of concern to me. But I did appreciate that the applicant was willing to put in additional screening, which the neighborhood was asking for, and addressing the parking and the safety issues by having the gate and the additional screening as well. But
Now,
I
the
think
additional screening, I don't understand what that is specifically, because they are doing the 8-foot wall, they are doing the landscape edge along with the 3-inch caliper trees.
they're doing an 8-foot wall along that entire
Well,
gravel
except
road.
for where it'll be along the property line, except where you have Amberley Place, there'll be a gate there, the cross arm.
I guess I would just like to know more about if there's going to be lodging in the temple.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that may be an extension of this church, but we have to explore that. And this is the first we've heard about it. So, sorry, I don't have an answer for you.
John, we spoke about this earlier. My concern is I've listened to many residents recently, and I share some same concerns about parking. I've personally witnessed 2 separate places of worship. They don't have sufficient parking, so they're overwhelming neighboring sites for their parking, and I'm worried that the parking that I know it's approved, but I listening to the citizens, their concerns, and I have my own concern because I've witnessed it myself. I'm not sure. I think an appeal is appropriate at this point.
I'm just thinking about the churches that are places of worship that you're mentioning, proved under different standards, and like several people have mentioned that we haven't updated standards. That's false. We continually have updated standards when we feel there's a need for it.
Yeah.
And so just as Joel mentioned, took an extra step and go in this direction, and so here they're providing more than 4 times that what was required by another ordinance that's provided on the site. Will there be instances in which this is true for any places of worship or for the mall for that matter? When you get in the Christmas season, yes, parking's a challenge, and but do you try to park for that ultimate as opposed to on a every day, every week? I mean, there's a difference between the two. And so if somebody wants to do a special event, that's something that they're going to be coordinating through the Parks Department, going through the Special Events Committee. So that's something that's reviewed, police, fire, environmental services, traffic, health code, they're all involved in reviewing that to make sure it's...
If it was a situation of once a year or once every few years, what you're suggesting, I agree with you, but how do we know this isn't going to be a weekly thing? Where the traffic but specifically the parking, that it could be a daily occurrence for what we know, as far as we know. We enforce. I know we talked about some mechanisms where they could park off site, but we haven't talked about how we're going to enforce that. How do we enforce that if they say, well, this is how we're going to solve the parking issue? We haven't discussed that yet, and it could be approved and then we can't enforce it.
I'm going to say part of that's been discussed because that is something I had brought up with staff about when talking about parking, and they said, well, we're going to use the school parking lots now. So, well, do they have permission? And just because they say they're going to use it, you just can't use somebody else's property.
Of course.
So I understand there's discussions that's taking place, just like the temple up on Independence. They work with Heritage High School, and they coordinate with them.
They do.
And so, the same thing here, but
they also go into the neighborhood north of that too, and they park significantly through the neighborhood too.
Now, those are very different cases because the one he's referring to was under our own parking count requirements, correct?
Yeah.
And so in 2025, we actually changed it, which has, and Joel, you can speak to it, really increased the parking requirements. And so they're meeting our ordinance. So it's not a valid reason for us to actually, it's late, I'm losing the word. Appeal because they're meeting our requirement.
That's right.
So that's not a valid reason even for us to appeal, but you can answer.
So I kind of want to answer one of your questions first is about how could we enforce it, so to speak. And so there's a couple of ways we can do that. One is when something is a preliminary site plan, that's like the entire property, what it's ultimately going to develop. And they often only develop a first phase, like part of it. And they'll need to come back and do another site plan to build phase 2, phase 3, so to speak. And so during the operation of phase 1, this is the most common way we enforce things with traffic impact analyses and parking things. okay, you're not doing what you said you were going to do. If you're coming in to develop phase 2, we're going to make you do a lot more. You know, you can't develop phase 2 until you fix what you're not doing, what we've already worked out. So that's kind of the first line of defense for enforcing something that we've agreed on, whether it be parking or how to operate your traffic, you know. Sure.
Based on those sites, doesn't look like there's going to be a phase 2 on those 3 sites.
Well,
there's not enough land there for phase 2.
Well, when I say that is that the PSP, the preliminary site plan, shows what they ultimately want to build, but they don't intend to build all of that right away. They're going to come in with a site plan that doesn't build all of that. They're going to build a phase 1, which is smaller than everything you see there. So there is going to be a couple times that they'll do site plans because they're not going to build all of it at once. Does that make sense? So what we've seen is a plan that's going to be ultimately everything, but we know they're not going to build all of that right away.
So you're saying the temple and then the office, I'm talking about the one on 423.
Correct.
They're, and I don't know the chronological order. So
Right.
is it going to be the temple first, then the office buildings, then the retail?
We actually don't know those details yet, specifics, but we know that, you know, it's going to be multiple lots, probably different ownership. So there's no, you know, they're just not going to build it all at the same time because it's a typical PSP of a retail corner is usually it's split up into multiple lots so that, you know, you sell one lot to a restaurant, for instance, or the one lot to the gas station. It's not all going to be owned by one entity. They're going to
That's when they come through the site plan process.
Right,
So
but that brings another question now. You really, another big question. So if they build the temple first, based on what you showed us on the parking spaces, how do we know what they're building on the parking spaces first? Because part of that parking was for the retail and for the office building, right?
So as part of the traffic study we did, they had to say, here's what we want to do in phase 1. Here's how much parking will be needed in phase 1. So the site plan or the preliminary site plan that we're looking at has split the property into proposed lot lines, and there's a good chunk of parking that's for the temple. So like the temple's in the back, and its lot contains all that parking that wraps around the south side. That's not the parking for the restaurants or the office, things like
That's
that.
going to be built first?
I don't know specifically because
we don't know.
But
We
they
don't
would
know
have to
what
meet
the
their
order
parking
of things
requirement for each use.
But
It's just that each lot
phase,
that
they have to meet the
develops,
parking requirement.
Yes.
each lot that develops has its own parking requirements. Yeah.
But it's possible that if the temple's built first, they're only going to build a small portion of that parking.
No.
But it's going to be dirt around there, so other people can park around the
No,
facility.
so whatever they build first, we'll go through this parking analysis again. It's like, here's what you're building, here's what your studies showed, here's how much parking you need. So if they build a smaller temple right away, it might need less parking than the full amount, but it's still going to put it through the same process to make sure it has the proper amount of parking for that size.
So when are they going to do their overflow at Reedy? When is that going to come into play?